liberal. Just wanted to get in here and chat with you for a second. The biggest concern I wanted to run by you because it sounds like some of the states are starting to finagle in a way, whereas the way we've heard in the polls might be changing. Such as I'm hearing that the Des Moines Register, Des Moines is the capital of the state of Iowa, is now saying that that election is swinging towards Kamala Harris. Now, Iowa was not a swing state. Trump won Iowa, I believe, in every election. I think he won it 2016 and 2020. I believe he's won Iowa every time. But they're saying that Iowa now has swung towards Kamala Harris. Now, that's only the Des Moines Register. That's the Des Moines Register, the main newspaper in that state. But what I wanted to run by you folks is we don't want to discuss. I know it's early. I see some folks say that. We don't normally come on this early in the morning, but I just wanted to run it here for a moment, had a moment and get the buzz, from the folks. What is your biggest concern going into this is what I want to find out. You're 48 hours out. It's that damn close in time and also that damn close in the polls. 48 hours away, and folks are still saying they don't know who's likely to win. I mean, that's what they're saying in terms of the polls. Every single swing state is close. How the hell could that be? We have 7 swing states: Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. They're all too close to call? Only 48 hours out? Are the polls maybe a bit misleading? I want to run something by you in regards to the polls because I don't know. The polls may actually not be telling the tale. I'm going to give you my spiel on that, how I think the polls may be playing this in favor of one candidate or the other. But in addition to asking the question, what is your biggest concern? I do want to ask that question. Why is the election so close? Keep in mind, many believe that Kamala and Biden, the Biden-Harris team, destroyed the economy, has left the border unsecured, letting anybody in the country unvetted. A lot of folks in the country, many believe, that are straight out of prisons, straight out of insane asylums, taking the life of folks like Lake and Riley and all of them. So you got all of that. But at the same time, the other side believes that Trump has set out to ruin the republic, that he's a threat to democracy. So with so many bad labels being affixed to both candidates, how the hell is this election so close? Seems like one candidate or the other should be way ahead. So what I'd ask you folks is, because there were alternatives, I mean, keep in mind there were like 9 other candidates that ran against President Trump. Kamala Harris there was never a vote to begin with. What if there was a vote, though? Let's say this race was between Gavin Newsom and Nikki Haley. Do you think it would be as close as it is now? Why is this election between Kamala Harris and President Trump so damn close when folks are suggesting both of these individuals, if elected, is going to literally ruin the country? Why would this be so close? Many would suggest that Trump had a way better economy. Folks are suggesting that they were doing far better under Trump. So why is Trump not running away with it? Or if folks believe that Trump refuses to concede elections, is a threat to the republic, going to ruin democracy, why isn't Kamala running away with it? Somewhere along the line, somebody is likely not being honest. I gotta tell you from my own humble perspective, you folks can feel free to criticize me where you may. I wouldn't surprise me if the fix is in regards to the polls. I don't know if I truly believe what the polls are saying. I believe there is a possibility that some of the pollsters may have an agenda, and I'm going to discuss that with you. But I will ask that you tap the screen, certainly on TikTok. Get the likes up to about 10,000. We got about 400 of you on YouTube. Feel free to smash that like button. Get us up to about 20. And I am running just for shits and giggles to see how it works. running horizontally on YouTube as well. So there is two different audiences on YouTube just to check, just to see how it runs. But my take on the polls before we get into the program and start taking callers is this. We know most of the media leans left. There's no denying. Most of the media tends to lean left with the exception of a few cable news outlets and conservative AM radio. The rest of the media is either outright left or leaning slightly to the left. Simply put, that's the way it's always been, at least for quite a while. And with Trump coming on the scene and insulting the hell out of all of the media personnel, whatever left-leaning perspective the media had, it's went further to the left because Trump is so harsh and critical of the media. There's no reason to be biased in a Trump environment because he's really critical of the media, naming actual media personalities and attacking them at various rallies. So it's certainly going to be further left now. But what I want to say is this: with most of the media leaning left, and you're being told that the polls are so damn close, in my humble opinion, if the media leaned left and they were favoring Kamala Harris, you would expect them to be portraying her as further out in the polls. I personally believe the media is telling you that it's a close race, considering that they favor Kamala Harris, to encourage you to get out and vote. The right-wing media, on the other hand, is making it seem as though Trump is kind of running away with it. He's going to win and things like that. I don't think that's the best aspect to approach this from. You don't want any voter to be complacent. I don't know why the right is telling their constituents, you got it in the bag. You listen to the left, they're very concerned because all of the left-wing polls show that Kamala Harris is in a fight for her life. You listen to the folks on the right and they're celebrating. They believe Trump has it in the bag. There's no polls suggesting Trump has it in the bag. So I don't think the right-leaning media, in my opinion, I don't believe they're doing their side right. I think they're doing right-leaning voters an injustice, so to speak. Even if Trump is running away with it, you want to continue telling your constituents it's close as hell, so that they all show up and vote election day. You know, most of the folks on the right tend to believe you should vote on election day itself. So why tell voters you're running away with it? I just believe that is the wrong approach. It's no different than if you were a coach of a team and you knew you were playing, you had an adversary that you could easily beat. You don't want to go in the locker room and tell your players, we're going to win this pretty easy. No, you still want to have them believing the adversary is tough as hell, so they'd go out and perform, so that they show up to practice, so that they would take the game seriously. You don't want to ever portray someone as an easy victory. I often bring up Mike Tyson and Buster Douglas, where Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson even though he was a 35-1 underdog. And later, Mike Tyson did admit he didn't train. He assumed it was going to be an easy fight till he went out there and got his ass kicked. So I do believe it's a possibility. Maybe I'm wrong, whatever the case may be. And I see in the comments, Black Lover, love that name. Black Lover says you love Trump. All right. But I do believe, based on the way the right is approaching this, they are setting themselves up for what could be a very disappointing election result. Trump may win, but if he loses, because many on the right believe the election is already in the bag, they're not going to understand that. If Kamala Harris loses, Democrats been kind of worried about that the whole time. So it's not much of a surprise. The right, a lot of folks on the right believe the only way the Democrats can win is if the Democrats cheat, because they think it's in the bag for Trump already. There's no polls that suggest it. There's nothing to back that up. Anyhow, I am going to go to the box, take callers. You know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So you hear all kinds of shit on this program. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. You can be critical of anyone in the program, anyone in the comment section, up to and including the host. We're never here to dictate how you should speak. We're only here to hear what your thoughts are. So that's how it works. That's how free speech goes. Going straight to the box, We'll take Michael. Welcome to the program, Michael. Good afternoon. So I don't know if he brought him up or not. Well, we may have to do that again. Apparently, the box did not bring up my last guest. So looking in the comments, we'll keep it moving. Did you see her double standards on Israel and Gaza? Music Man, you have to elaborate on it. What are Kamala Harris? What are her double standards on Israel and Gaza? I think Kamala Harris is playing the Israeli Gaza conflict very similar to how Trump was playing the COVID economy conflict. You kind of want to be in favor of both, so you have to double speak. Kamala Harris is in favor of protecting Israel. That's the nation's stance. Our nation has always sided with Israel. But at the same time, she realizes she has a hell of a lot of supporters that are critical of Israel, believe they've went too far, and want the Palestinians to be free. So she's trying to speak favorably of both of them. She's playing both sides of the fence. I mentioned Trump in the whole COVID economy thing because he was doing that at the time. He wanted to save Americans, which is what the medical community was telling him during the pandemic, but he also wanted to save his economy. So the medical community is saying shut everything down and social distance, but the economy is saying keep everything running and flourishing. So he too was speaking out of both sides, and I think that's what Kamala's kind of doing right now. All right, let me try it again with the box. If we don't have problems this time, we'll try to bring up Michael. Hopefully this time it works. The polls are dependent. What does that say? The polls are dependent on where and who they poll. True, Samantha, but this has been going on for months. This has been going on for months where they're saying this is close. Ever since Kamala Harris got in the race in August, it's been going on that way. Michael, good afternoon.
Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, listen, I got a bone to pick with you, man.
Oh, no. What you got?
Actually, I don't really, but you were on the live with me with Dumberjack or Lumberjack. I call him Dumberjack.
Okay.
And you were on first, and I joined.
Yes, you were in there for quite a while. I listened to you. You were in there for quite a while. You were on your own. I hated that. But I was working. I had to leave.
I was fine. That's cool. I was just fine talking to them dodos about that stupid nonsense. It's ridiculous. Were you there? Were you there when I actually showed them the indictment that they said it wasn't an indictment, and I turned my camera on and showed them the indictment?
I don't know, cause see, I drive all day for a living, and I was, but I had the audio going. I don't remember if I saw that part. I was there when you left, because I was coming in and out between interacting with customers and things like that. But I was there, but I don't remember the indictment part.
Yeah, well, that's what DJ Julio was up there. I was the one he was talking about yesterday.
Yes, I do remember that.
Right, but yeah, and I hope he's in here too. Cause see, Julio, you didn't bring your ass off of mute when I was on that call. I've been waiting to talk to your shucking and jiving ass for weeks now. Well, you didn't come off mute when I was on that call.
Okay, well, most of the guests today don't really know what you're talking about. But if Julio's on here, I don't think he's here now. I would bring him up with you. But let's get to the actual topic, because most of the people watching don't know what you're talking about. But why the hell is this still so close?
I don't necessarily. I don't believe it's that close, to be honest with you. But I also don't really pay a lot of attention to the polls. Because the polls are just a small subset. But the reason I say that is, which I was surprised yesterday, that Iowa was even in a discussion where it could possibly be close.
Yeah, they're saying that Iowa's in play now. I mean, wow, because it was never considered a swing state. If Iowa is in play, what does that say about maybe President Trump's chances?
That's what I'm saying. I just don't listen. I want to believe that there's more people that are really paying attention to what's going on than some of the stuff that we're hearing on these lives and stuff. I just hope that that's the case, because the rest of this is just become so nonsensical. It's just ridiculous. It's so funny when you saw, and for example, Trump having this whole meltdown about the mic the other day, and the hand gesture and
was he really imitating Fellatio, or did the Democrats cut and paste his clip?
Well, I watched it. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that that's what he was speaking about. What I'm going to say is that's what it looked like.
Right.
And it wasn't cut. It's what it looked like. And as you got to know better than that. You just have to know better than that. You know, it's just ridiculous.
I hate to be the one who is saying what I often am told, which is you're taking Trump out of context. But I'm watching This Week with George Stephanopoulos this morning, and it sounds like even they were indicating that Trump may have been taken out of context on that. Because from what I've seen, the little few seconds I've seen of Trump, it did look like he was imitating somebody sucking dick. But it sounds like they're like maybe the Democrats clipped something and made it look like something it wasn't.
Well, I watched it. I watched the whole thing. So if they're saying all the video out there has been edited, I can't. I mean, it is what it is. I don't think that's the case, but I'm not going by what anybody said. Matter of fact, when I first saw it, I didn't even hear the audio.
Yeah, I didn't either. Same. I didn't hear the audio either.
And looking at the video, I mean, what else would it insinuate?
Right. But apparently,
I'm gonna say it this way: if you were standing across from somebody and they did that to you,
I'd be a happy man. I'd be a happy man.
Well, I said somebody. I didn't say I said somebody.
Right.
What would they mean? What would you take that as to be? You understand what I mean?
I'm from what I've seen. And I just like you, I've seen it without the audio. But from what I've seen, it did appear as though he was performing a sex act. But now that I've seen what I've seen on This Week with George Stephanopoulos, and make no mistake about it, ABC correspondent George Stephanopoulos is no fan of Trump. If he was indicating to some degree that the Democrats might have taken that out of context, I want to see it in full context now, because he has no reason to lie. And lie in favor of the Republicans. They hate him. They hate George Stephanopoulos. So if he's saying that, I want to see what's going on.
But again, who said anything about the Democrats taking it out of context? It's literally looking at what, again, that's not a Democrat. And this is the problem with everything. What he did on that stage wasn't a Democratic view of what it looked like.
Well, let me say it this way. Apparently, he was the microphone wasn't working or something. And so he was playing with the microphone and talking, and they cut enough of it that it looked like he was jacking the support off and opening his mouth up. I need to see the rest of it. Now, I've never said that in regards to Trump, but after hearing George Stephanopoulos say that, I kind of want to see the rest of the video.
After me watching the video and understanding Trump's track record, why would I give him the benefit of the doubt that he might be doing something that most people just wouldn't freaking do, right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Listen, I have never heard anybody say, well, you're taking it out of context, or in my life, towards any one person. Never. You know, because he lies about everything. The day before that, he said he never talked about repealing the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm not going to pretend like. Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like Trump does not lie. I mean, it's Trump. It's a damn fly. Trump lies enough that the response is from MAGA has become, well, all politicians do it. When Trump came on the scene, he was going to drain the swamp. He was not a typical politician, and he was going to fix the issues in Washington. But after he got caught in a substantial amount of lies, he became, well, all of them do it.
Right. Man, it's just out of control, man. We got what, 48 hours, 36 hours until the election.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think most people have already decided.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody that's undecided. But do you think any of the rhetoric coming from either side, now from the Kamala side, the only real controversial rhetoric has been Biden saying that Trump supporters are garbage. But Kamala Harris, I don't know what she said that's really controversial over the last month or so. Whereas Trump obviously has said a whole bunch of things. Do you think that has changed any with the Liz Cheney stuff, or America is the garbage can of the world? Obviously, the Madison Square Garden rally. Do you think any of that may have changed any votes?
Well, I can speak from my own experience in my community and who I'm talking to. I know for a fact, I know 3 people that changed their positions because of that Madison Square Garden rally. Now the funny thing is, now here's the thing. That's fine for an election, but like I told you weeks ago, that was your line. It's not like we hadn't heard or seen that behavior from it, but that was their line. It's crazy to me, but that was their line. So it's so I know that it's moved a few people. I know that, and hopefully that's what it takes. I wanted to ask you, and then I'll drop back in the comments. What do you think about the ad that they're running where it's showing the women going to the polls with their husbands?
I talked about that yesterday, where the women, they're the way they frame it, it looks like they are Republican wives, and they're going to vote, and they're kind of looking at each other and giving each other the nod, and it's indicating your husband doesn't have to know who you're voting for, as if they're kind of being held like hostage electorates, whereas your husband wants you to vote the same way he does. And they're indicating to each other, nobody's going to know who you voted for. You don't have to vote for this man just because I think it's effective. I think it's kind of effective. Because at the end, it makes it clear nobody will know who you voted for. I think it says something like your vote stays between you and yourself, or your ballot stays secret. I think that one might be effective.
Well, it is funny that you say that, because in order to run that ad, there had to be some data out there that gave them the idea that that is a thing, right?
Yeah, I believe that.
But what I didn't like about it was how the right and Fox spun it to say that the women are betraying their marriage, and they equated it to
lying to your husband,
right,
yeah.
Right. I mean, but you see what I'm saying? I mean, it's some things you just can't explain away all the time, and that's my problem when I hear a lot of MAG. I'm like, you can't explain away everything. You can't explain it all away and then try to manufacture things to make for you to feel good about your position.
Yeah.
That commercial running, I thought it was a powerful commercial. We're going to see if it matters. But hey, listen, next time, my man, don't run and leave me like that.
I got a day job. I don't make any money from this, not of any significance, so I got a day job. I had to go, but I wanted to back you up. Mike, appreciate you coming through. All right, anytime. All right, moving on with the program. That's what we're asking. And I saw somebody even put in there his talk about Arnold Palmer, and the endowment of the late golf great Arnold Palmer. Trump says so many controversial things that by the time you discuss one, it's ancient history, because he's done so many. I had forgot all about him going on stage talking about the size of Arnold Palmer's package. I mean, Haitian migrants seem like that's been 6 months to 2. Seem like that's been 2 years ago. So I saw somebody pointed out that Kamala Harris. They suggested that Kamala Harris lied a bunch of times during the debate or something like that. The debate with the Haitian migrants in it, like I said, we've kind of progressed on from Haitian migrants because it seems so long ago. There is so few controversial statements coming from Kamala Harris compared to Trump that I could understand why a lot of MAGA would look and say, you got Trump derangement syndrome. Kamala Harris don't give you a lot to talk about. Even though she's holding rallies, going from city to city, she's kind of keeping it on script. Trump doesn't read from a teleprompter, many would say. He doesn't. Nobody's telling him what to say. And, well, as a result, you get all these wild statements. So it's a little different there. You're not going to talk about Kamala as much as Trump unless you are constantly repeating the same thing about Kamala. Because Trump is giving you new controversial stuff to bring up. I mean, just within the last, week or so, we're talking about America being a nation of, the world's garbage can. And then, of course, we're talking about the Madison Square Garden rally. Now Liz Cheney stuff is in the news, and all of that came after the Arnold Palmer and all the other stuff. Kamala Harris doesn't give you enough content to keep up with that. I mean, you got to stick with, transgender for inmates, and you got to kind of stick with the same shit because she's not giving you enough to work with. Looking in the comments, though, MAGA, in all honesty, Trump is going to lose in a landslide, says his keys. I don't know. What do Carolinas do for the country? What do the Carolinas, North and South Carolina, do for the country? I'm not from North or South Carolina, but I assume they do something. I'm assuming their GDP helps out. What do you mean, what do they do? Liberal and progressives are two completely different things. Yeah, like conservatives are different sometimes than Republicans. I get it. All right, let me go back to the box. Progressives are far left. You can have conservatives that are not far right, but there is a far right wing of the conservative party. And you don't hear the right talk about far right very much because far right isn't good. Even for a lot of conservatives, they don't want to go that far to the right. But there is a far right version as well. Let me continue on with the program. Furback, one of my subscribers, good afternoon, almost. Furback.
What's up, Tim? How you doing?
You know, I'm always hanging like Mike Pence on January 6th. So, what the hell is going on where this election is so close, 48 hours out? It should we not have who looks like they may be a clear winner by now?
We should, and we may. You know, I told you a couple weeks ago, who's going to watch a Super Bowl when the 1-16 team is playing the 17-1 team?
Yeah, well, who's the 1-16 in this?
We'll see. We'll see.
Then you don't know.
Yeah, I'm really worried, man. I'm really worried. I'm over here shaking in my boots, man. It looks like Trump is going to go out there and blow it open.
Damn.
So I need people to go vote.
I was just going to say the fact that you stated you're really worried kind of indicates you're leaning towards Kamala Harris because the folks who believe Trump's going to blow it open, they're really happy. The MAGA Trump supporters believe this is in the bag already.
Well, Tim, you know, if I could whisper to you, I would tell you I really don't feel that way. But,
you just used the phrase Trump is going to go out there and blow it open. I ain't heard that since the Diddy party. But you just said he's going to go out there and blow it open.
Yeah, I need all my supporters of Harris to feel that way. I need them to really feel that way. That's what I'm saying. I'm playing with the media is doing.
Yeah.
It's hair on fire. We got to go out here and vote our asses off like it depends on it.
Now I want to run a phrase by you. I seen this in the comments on YouTube. Kip Drippers. You're hearing this from many on the right. I want you to give me what this phrase means to you, or if it means any damn thing at all. Phrase is too big to rig. What does that mean to you?
I don't know, man. Like, you know, I don't speak manganese. I don't understand what that shit means, man. You know,
manganese.
Yeah, dude, I don't understand it, man. You know, you get a lot of Trump whisperers and Trump interpreters up here. They may know it. To me, I don't understand that shit. No. And you know, to answer your question, why the right wing media saying it's in the bag is because Trump is saying it in the bag. The minute you go against Trump, he's gonna cancel your ass. So yeah, they might as well roll with it.
Going against Trump is going to cancel your ass. I was always under the impression cancel culture came from the left. You're telling me Trump is engaging in cancel culture?
Man, from day one, man. You know what I mean? He canceled the media the moment he said they're out to get me. You know, he canceled Kaepernick in the NFL. I mean, he's the canceler in chief. You know what I'm saying? That's what he do, bro.
I was told the cancel crowd were a bunch of snowflakes. You're putting Trump in that crowd?
Yes, and he canceled Nikki, right? I mean, anybody goes against him, man, he cancels him.
Nikki who?
Nikki Haley.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's on the Trump train now, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's either that or get ran the fuck over, I guess, over there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what would you do? You got Liv to play the other day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Liz Cheney. I mean, besides January 6th, I mean, shit, she voted with the man and all his policies 90+% of the time.
So what do you think about that whole Nikki Haley thing? Do you think it was taken out of context as one of the most popular phrases you ever hear from MAGA, taken out of context? What do you think about that one, though? Was that taken out of context?
No. Like I said, it's hard to take anything out of context when the people that support him always want to put it in context. That man himself never has to explain what he means because he leaves it up to his little MAGA coat to do it.
So if the whole issue with Liz Cheney was not taken out of context, what is your interpretation of it? You think you wanted her to die?
It's hard not to say that. I mean, a threat's a threat. Like I told you before, if I've been telling everybody and telling you on this media app that, man, as soon as I see Hansel, I'm gonna hit him in his fucking mouth. Why wouldn't Hansel assume that's what the fuck I'm gonna do?
I can't tell you how many ex-girlfriends have said that. Thank God I don't see them anymore. Wow, otherwise I wouldn't have any dental work left. All right, so you think it was a threat. So how do folks like Liz Cheney or General Milley, what do you think's on their mind right now then? If you believe that was a genuine threat, if they wake up in 48 hours or 72 hours or whatever the hell, once Trump gets in, and you hear that Trump has become the presumptive nominee or the president-elect, what are they supposed to be thinking? If you believe those are general threats, particularly with Liz Cheney and General Milley.
I think you get in line with the Puerto Ricans and, anybody that doesn't look like, him, and you just get in a line of people that he got retribution for. You better get ready to fucking protect yourself and get the hell up out of here.
Damn. But at the same, I mean, there are people. Somebody on YouTube is saying that they're boarding up things in Portland, Oregon. Can you see that day being a peaceful day? I mean, we're talking Wednesday morning, basically.
Well, we see what his peaceful and love fest look like.
Oh,
you know
shit.
what I'm saying? I mean, they're like Mike Tyson fights. I mean, it's peaceful and coming together about that shit. You know what I mean? But they call us TDS and all this shit. But when have we ever not taken a word from a person when they say it? You know what I mean? Like, why is that crazy?
I'm under the impression this guy's generally joking about violence, though. He's not really meaning it. It's just a joke.
Okay. Go down to your local police station, go in there with a fucking water pistol and say, I'm going to shoot the fucking place up.
All right, Furback, I got to go. You try to get me killed. I'm talking about a black man going into a police station with a pistol. That's like the worst bar joke I have ever heard. A black man walks into a police station with a water pistol. There is no punchline to that. Nothing but a funeral. I got to move it on, though, Furback.
Hey.
Go ahead.
You say LOL in front of it, and I guess it makes it okay. That's the times we live in.
I suppose so. Appreciate it. Good talk. All right, moving on with the program. This came from, I can't even read the name with my damn eyesight, but you call yourself a liberal. Is this the JFK type classic liberal or modern leftist? If it's the JFK type liberal, what do you think of Harris-Walz's limits on free speech? In regards to the limitations on free speech, I tout that here. I say on every program, I don't block, ban, or censor anyone. If you get blocked, banned, or censored from this program, it's because the TikTok gods didn't like what you had to say. I let folks speak. I do believe in free speech. Up to a fault where people, I'm okay even if you criticize the host. But in regards to free speech, I will say this. Everybody claims to be in favor of free speech until you say or do some shit they don't like, even if it's covered by the First Amendment. We talk about the left banning free speech or being against the First Amendment. Well, Trump talked about if you burn the flag, you should get a year in prison. Many on the right, well, yeah, you should. That's been protected by the free speech. The Supreme Court has already ruled that flag burning is a protected act by the First Amendment. It's free speech. But the right would happily see you spend that, I think Trump said, a year in prison for burning the flag. The right is like, yay, they clapping. That's banning free speech. Remember Colin Kaepernick in the hole taking a knee during the anthem? That also is free speech. The right had no issue suggesting that he either gets terminated from his gig or punished in some other way, fashion, or form. That's free speech. So everybody is for free speech until you say some shit they don't like. I do believe the left is the same way. I'm not excluding anybody from that. But yeah, free speech. Oh my God, he said something I don't like. Now let's censor it. You're not gonna get any difference from that if you lead the left and go to the right, or if you lead the right and go to the left. The only difference is you may agree with the banning and limitations placed on free speech that's coming from your side. But make no mistake about it, they are bans and limitations on free speech too. Trump has already talked about CBS should lose his license. You heard Trump, you see the left, when they were talking about banning Twitter or going after X, how they were banning free speech. Well, when Trump was president, he was talking about banning TikTok. You didn't hear anybody complaining about it. So you can come up with reasons, but both sides are doing this. Looking in the comments, Trump will be sentenced this month for 34 felonies. I don't know if I even believe that's going to happen, even if he loses. I have a hard time seeing Trump doing any time behind bars. I mean, there are still appeals. We know the Supreme Court is likely to favor him. I don't see it. I don't.
A damn ballot box is on fire. He's still on the run and still doing it.
So you're saying that those ballot boxes, that's what I was going to say, is that how do we know it was MAGA that set the boxes on fire? But you said the vehicle they got out of had Trump bumper stickers on it?
All over it. All over the back. If I don't scream, hey, and this thing though, they didn't even put a mask on. They faces in the camera. In the damn camera. So and they wearing that stupid ass hat that's in back of you. Can I say this for Trump supporters? Y'all are buying thousands of dollars of merchandise of Trump's and Lily complain about gas prices.
Well, maybe the people that
no. Those damn Temu shoes, I looked up and they were $23.99 on Temu, and they were decorated as Trump, and they selling for $300, and y'all still buying the shit. And let me tell you, them NFTs, he was wearing the suit in the commercial. Now y'all buying Trump semen. I wish I could make this shit up. Y'all buying Trump spunk for $29.99.
Where are you hearing this from?
Dude, I have seen every freaking commercial. Yeah, there's a Trump fish, Trump coin, Trump Bible, Trump shoes, Trump spunk, Trump knives, Trump cutlery.
Ain't nobody, wait, hold on. Ain't nobody buying Trump spunk. Who the hell wants 78-year-old semen? Ain't nobody buying that shit.
No, what damn Chinese dude is basically getting his jollies up making this product? Because he know that all his products are made in China. Like, seriously.
But let me just say this in defense of Trump. If he's selling that much shit and people are buying it, I don't want to ever hear any more shit about Trump is not a good businessman.
No, I don't ever want to hear about gas prices, groceries, and taxes. You got buying $1,000 worth of shit.
All right, but he is.
I don't ever want to hear it.
But he is a phenomenal. But you got to admit, he is a phenomenal businessman.
Here's the thing, though. Let me say this. You know what Trump Captain Crunch is? Let me get on camera to say this. You know what Trump Crunch is? It's this. It's Multi-Meal. That's what it is. Look at the camera. This you can buy this for $5.99 in any grocery store in America.
Oh, let me see that.
This right here. This is Trump cereal, but you're buying it for $45.
What about the fact that they are donating to the campaign?
They donating to Stormy Daniels. That's what they donating to.
Oh my. No, Stormy Daniels owes him much. Stormy Daniels owed him $600K.
And guess what? He still owes that woman $3.4 million.
That ain't Stormy Daniels. You're talking about E. Jean Carroll.
E. Jean Carroll. Dude, here's the thing though. He's paying off his legal fees, his damn side chicks, and the people that he essayed with your money. You think it's going to the campaign? No, that's going to Trump's pocket.
Well, they like Trump. I mean, what can I say? That MAGA loves Trump.
If I see a black MAGA going to a Juneteenth cookout with them damn god awful insurrection threes, I'ma slap the shit out of them. Because I already know your chicken is unseasoned and you brought a damn potato salad full of mayonnaise and with some damn cranberries in it and some damn raisins. Get the fuck out of here.
But you're promoting political violence. How do you respond? Because I got several viewers on both platforms saying you have TDS, Trump Derangement Center. You just hate the guy.
Oh, no. Here's the thing. I know I hate Trump supporters because y'all make it even 100 times worse to even vote for this man. Like, seriously. There was a lot. Here's the thing. There's a well-known Trump supporter on this live called American Lumberjack. This man had five Klansmen in his live, and he was in whiteface while he was doing it, while basically saying, "That bitch, Kamala Harris."
Now, I've talked to Lumberjack many times. You're saying he had 5 Klansmen and he was in whiteface simultaneously?
Yep. Huh. And let me just say, hey, American Lumberjack, go to hell with a gasoline Snuggie. And make sure you take Snuggles with you.
Oh, my God. Snuggles is a friend of the program, too. They're both MAGA. Look, I enjoy talking to MAGA.
Fuck him. I hope he get.
Hey, I don't want you to get yourself banned because TikTok will get you.
I hope Trump makes he has a Mandingo party when he gets to jail. I hope he does. I hope a big dude like Mark Henry is his bunkmate and they have a Mandingo party and they pass him around like a blunt. Yeah, I fucking said. I don't like the man. I don't like this Trump. I don't like his supporters. They never had a positive thing about they say about their community, especially if they're my color. I've never been a black Trump supporter that talked positive about their community. I have never met one. Never have. So
Okay, you sound like you're pissing off some of your folks at the crib. I'm moving on, but you really, so there's no chance at the end of the day
For
you
Trump
might,
supporters,
huh?
for Trump supporters, you just meant basically that the next 4 years will be led by a vagina and not of a dick. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, Black Wing. Wow. Now, when I say free speech, damn it, I mean it. We get MAGA that's speaking the same type of passion. I get it. This is a very passionate race, folks. This is how it is. A lot of folks may not orate it the way my last caller said it, but they may feel that way. Some folks look at liberals and have the same disdain as my last caller did for MAGA. I mean, certainly when you talk about drag queen shows in the transgender community, there's a lot of folks on the right that have that same amount of passion towards them. So we believe in free speech. I know some folks may have not favored what my last caller had to say, but we get MAGA on the program that are just as critical of the left. By the way, unfortunately, if you don't like free speech, it's probably not the platform for you. I would encourage you to go, if you like to hear speech that resonates with your own political train of thought, whether you're on the left or the right, this is not going to be the program for you, because we're going to get far right, we're going to get far left folks, we're going to get folks that criticize the host. That is how we run this program. We've been that way since day one. We are MAGA friendly. We have always been and always will remain MAGA friendly, but liberals are welcome as well. Looking in the comments, as Keith says, the guest was not lying, though. I don't. You believe everything he said? He was a bit critical. Look, at the end of the day, I do believe there are legitimate reasons to support Trump or legitimate reasons to support Kamala Harris. I see on YouTube, I already voted for Harris. She got my vote, says Lou. A lot of folks have already voted. I think they said almost 70 million. But I will say this: there's legitimate reasons to vote for both sides. Even if you're black, I can orate legitimate reasons for a black person to vote for Trump or vote for Kamala Harris. It really depends on what you stand on, what your own personal political beliefs are. A lot of folks in this race believe that people should vote based on how they feel. No, every man and woman has their own different principles and reasons why they're voting. Let me go back to the box. Thank you folks that are tapping the screen. We should be around 30,000. THOU. Smash that like button on YouTube. Get us up to about 40 on TikTok. We should be around 30,000 on the likes. Come on now. Show your boy some love. Support the program. It's free. Tap the screen. Get the likes up. Continuing on with the program, we will go to, I think it says Sunflower, if I'm looking at that correct. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. He was sweating him out of his face. Trey, the lion. Okay, Sunflower, good afternoon.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. I mean, I'm assuming you heard my last caller.
Yes, it was entertaining.
Yeah. Why do you think some folks feel that way? I mean, where does the passion at that level come from?
Frustration above everything. And I find that a lot of even like, let's say, Democratic or typical Democrat supporters that have moved over to vote for Trump mostly deals with like the state that they're in, and if they're run by a Democratic person who's not doing right by them.
Yeah.
So they're holding the federal government, because I was on a live the other day, they were holding the federal government responsible for like their crappy mayor. They think just because you're a Democrat or a Republican that you're just going to be good and do what you say. We have to hold our own people accountable, vote in the right person. But they're holding the federal government based off of what's going on in their particular city and or states.
That's an interesting point, because right now in New York, their mayor is up on a variety of corruption charges. So you're saying that perhaps New Yorkers might vote for Trump because of the alleged corruption of their mayor?
Between how they're handling the immigrants there, it's just a lot of things that they're seeing that they're putting blame on the Democratic Party as a whole, right? Versus, hey, this might be just a bad Democrat.
Yeah. That's an interesting point, Rick, because I've said that on previous lives that, because I got family, when I'm in Chicago, family that really have an issue with the immigrants there, and they're African Americans, obviously, and they've talked about maybe looking at Trump, and I've told them that if you're voting for Trump, you're voting for Trump. I don't have any issue with that, but the immigration issue in Chicago only exists because the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, deliberately busted them there. If the immigrants had just came into America seeking asylum and it was left at its organic operation, they would have went everywhere. They wouldn't have all went to Chicago like that. That was designed to prove a point. So the government of Chicago has nothing to do with that. They just got flooded with immigrants.
But how they're looking at it too is that, well, Greg Abbott kind of gave us a taste of their medicine, like what they're dealing with, because they're getting him, because they're at the border, right? So they're getting him in the same quantity, if not more, at those locations. So they're getting a small taste of that. And it's kind of like, hey, put yourself in our shoes attitude. Now, I'm not saying I agree with what they did. I'm definitely not. I don't support Greg Abbott at all. But I see where people are coming from when they look at it that way. So I can understand it. But where I come at with that is that your cities are having issues, yes, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the federal government and what they're doing to people, to women's rights, stuff like that, that has to trump it at some point. Not, no pun intended.
But when you say women's rights, how do you respond to many on the right that'll say, women are not losing any rights at all. It was just given back to the states, and you should blame your own state legislators if you have any issues, not Trump or anybody at the federal level. He didn't take any women's rights away. He just allowed the states to decide.
A couple of things, right? I'm former military veteran. I didn't, I feel like no matter which state I choose to live in, I should have equal rights for myself, right? It shouldn't be based off of what state I live in.
But you're a liberal, right?
I am.
Now, you do know that, because you say you should have equal rights in whatever state you live in. The Second Amendment folks are saying the same thing. You know the Second Amendment laws change from state to state.
Correct. I do feel like what I'm allowed to own and what my own body is two different things.
Well, what about being able to defend that body? I mean, this is what they're saying.
Well, you have some, like when you look at the Second Amendment, right? Mm-hmm. Do I want a guy, if I'm living in New York in an apartment building where they're all stacked up against each other, everybody in there having assault rifles? I don't. Yeah. Right? However, if you're on the land and you got 5 acres and you got, I see there's a difference. I see that there could be a difference, right? It's that whole word infringe is kind of where it's taking people as far as what does that mean? Does that mean, it's the full definition?
That means you have the right to bear arms, really, of any type. That's what they're pushing in.
Exactly. And that's always going to be modified from, you can't sit there and have tanks and explosive devices and stuff like that. There's always going to be some level of, let's say, common sense.
Yeah.
Right? So when you look at the Second Amendment in itself, the courts kind of ruled that you can use it to protect your own property, right? Because what it says is to protect yourself against the government. So does that mean you're not allowed to use it to protect your house because you can only use it against the government?
I've always been under the impression the Second Amendment gives you the right to defend yourself, gives you the right to hunt, and gives you the right to stave off tyranny. So I thought it was all three.
Yeah, so when you actually read it, it's tyrannical government? Like, in case the government comes against you. So nowhere in the Second Amendment does it say that you have a right to, use it to protect your home, your car, your whatever. The courts did interpret it that way. I forget what year it was, right? But that's the same thing they did with ABs. So they interpreted what the 14th Amendment meant as far as life, liberty, and kind of like liberty over your own body, and for women to be able to be protected in the privacy laws, right? Yeah. So I also find that a lot of people don't even understand Roe v. Wade. A lot of people think Roe v. Wade was like this all across the board thing. It was every state had to allow up to 12 weeks. After that first trimester, states were allowed to create their own laws, provided that it didn't affect the health of the mother or it was a situation.
But you're saying up to 12 weeks was the law everywhere.
That nobody was allowed to ban it up to 12, like you didn't need a reason or whatever, right? However, after that first trimester, states were allowed to implement laws at that time. So Roe v. Wade was like a compromise. There are people who think Roe v. Wade was too constrictive, right? However, it was more like a compromise more than anything. When you really look at what it covered, because it gave, exception of the, mother's life, and in every
Yeah, but didn't Bill Clinton or somebody say it was supposed to be safe and rare? Because we know it certainly went past the point of being rare. Women weren't choosing this as an elective form of birth control.
Okay, so there's a couple of things. Like when you look at somebody who's assaulted, right?
Yeah.
Most of them go unreported. So some people would have ABs without reporting the assault.
Okay.
Right. So now let's say you make that an exception. Well, how long is that going to take? And what if the person's found not guilty because there wasn't enough evidence, but it still happened to her? Is she now?
Yeah, I get that, but here's my issue, and I totally I'm 100% pro-choice, but I'm going to play devil's advocate on this anyway. One of the things I have an issue with is that the left rather, it talks about when we talk about pro-choice, pro-life, it always goes back to rape, incest, or like you're talking about assaults and things like that. But I mean, let's just be honest. Most women terminating the life of the unborn, it ain't got nothing to do with rape, incest, or the life of the mother. They just had unprotected sex. Maybe they don't like the dude. Maybe they don't have finances right now. Am I wrong on that? That most women who terminate a baby, it has nothing to do with those extreme issues.
Can you prove that was most women? How many women just didn't report it? So it looked like it was.
Well, then if you don't report it, you can't blame people for saying you just doing this as an elective. I mean, you didn't report it.
There's shame in reporting it. Look how many families would disown their wives or divorce. There's men who would divorce their wives if they got knocked up by a man who assaulted them. Those men exist in the world, right? Oh. There are men who won't support that. They don't want to raise a child that's not theirs, right? There are men who won't adopt because of that, So, it's not all black and white. There's so many circumstances. And then if you want to get into somebody who's doing elective, whether it's young teenage girls who were uneducated because they don't want to teach the stuff in schools or have it taught in schools, especially when you get into the religious schools, because it seems to happen more there anyways. But so you don't want to teach it. And then if they unfortunately, make a bad choice or was pressured or whatever it is, there's no options to give them that.
Like I said, I'm 100% pro-choice. I'm not a guy, so I'm not going to tell a woman when she can and cannot. But I do believe, you obviously disagree, but I do believe most women that are terminating children, it's just a form of birth control. I got caught slipping. Me and my ex got together and one night, and I don't want to have a kid by my ex. I mean, I think it's more of that than it is women being assaulted or forcibly impregnated.
It really not. Are there women that maybe do it because they hook up a bunch of times? Not there is, but there's also like AB in itself is also the ending of a pregnancy. Like I had my twins and they were premature, and they gave them an emergency C-section, so I didn't carry out the full pregnancy, and they spent a lot of time in the NICU. That was an abortion. That was an AB. That was because that's the ending of the pregnancy. Not all ABs are considered the ending of a life. It's just the ending of the pregnancy itself.
True. Well, so, if it is alive and you take the life of something that's alive, isn't that is ending a life, right?
Well, like for me, I feel like viability is the cutoff.
Well, yeah. If it's not viable, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
That's my personal belief, right? But also, you have. That's a lot of weeks, and there are circumstances where the health of the mother might force a delivery early, right? So let's say I go in, I'm at 24 weeks, and I'm hemorrhaging or whatever, and they bring me to the hospital, and like, well, in order to save your life, we have to do this, but I want to save my child too. So I'm like, okay, let's see NICU, stuff like that, and then I bear also all those costs of that. So now they're in the NICU. Just my hospital bill alone, not even counting, because I have twins, not even counting them and their time in the NICU, was $45,000.
Yeah, and I've said before that if you're going to make it harder for women to terminate pregnancies, they should have provisions to help the women out. But let me ask you this before I move it on in regards to this same topic. Let's say a woman did indeed get with her ex one night. They sat around and was drinking and rehashing old times. They made out and did whatever they did. She finds out a week later or a month later or whatever, she's pregnant. And her ex haven't spoken since that period. She know he has another girlfriend, and she just wants to get rid of it. Should she be allowed to do that if it's a perfectly healthy embryo?
To me, up to viability. And why I say this, because a lot of people...
That's 9 months. So you're okay with well into the late term.
Viability is 24 weeks.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you believe that she shouldn't be, it doesn't matter why she's doing it. Up to 24 weeks, she should be allowed to do it.
So there are people who say at conception is life, right? They're hard point on that. So my brother actually came up with a good scenario, because when you look at stuff like IVF, and the eggs are fertilized. So once fertilization, they consider that a child, right? So you have 8 fertilized eggs in a lab for IVF, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have 8 eggs, and then you have one baby, and the building's burning, and you can either save the 8 eggs or fertilized eggs or the one baby. What are you going to do?
The baby.
Exactly. So you let 8 other babies get unalive, because why?
Yeah, that's when the law goes too far to the right. I agree with that. When you start talking about, when you start treating eggs and all this stuff,
but it's the same thing inside you. You have a baby here, and a mother has to say whether or not I need to provide for this baby here or the one that's inside. The one outside has that mentality of, I'm going to protect this one first.
Yeah, that's when it becomes, a gray area, and that's where some of these laws can really get screwed up. I think it was.
I myself, even though other Democrats won't feel the same, support what Roe v. Wade said. And I was okay with Roe v. Wade had.
All right. Well, you know where you need to vote then. I got to move it on, Sunflower. You have no business voting for Trump at all. Appreciate you coming on. Yeah, you have, based on your statement, you have no reason to vote for Trump at all.
No, everybody, Harris 2024, everybody.
All right, Sunflower, appreciate it. Thank you. And that's why I said, it depends on what side of the aisle. I can listen to some of the conversations, and I can tell you, for some people, there are legitimate reasons to vote for Trump. There's a legitimate reason to vote for Kamala. Based on our last conversation, there's no reason she should be voting for Trump at all. Somebody pointed out wow, now YouTube, my audience on YouTube is a bit more further to the right. Michaela the Blessed Garden says, keep your legs closed. Every time I hear that statement, I think of the old Karate Kid movies. Many of you folks who are old enough to have seen Karate Kid, the original one, where the leader of Cobra Kai looks into the kid's eye and says, no sympathy, sweep the leg. When I hear that term, keep your legs, that's what I'm hearing. No sympathy, sweep the leg. That's what that sounds like to me. Somebody else mentioned, this came from Kip Drippers on YouTube. Like I said, some more folks on the right. I enjoy talking to folks on the right as well. Kip Drippers said, imagine watching a doctor pull out baby parts. That is disgusting. Now, this is the opposite side of what I was talking to my last guest about, and I will go to the box after this. Tap the screen. What the hell is up with the tapping of the screen on TikTok? Is the content that bad? Maybe we should terminate this. Get us up to about 40,000. Man, God. Wow, 20? Really? Am I doing that bad today? Tap the screen, show the program some love. Imagine watching a doctor pull out baby parts. That is disgusting. Now, I want to respond to that by saying that's very similar to pro-choice women talking about, what about rape and incest and going to these extremes. The same thing applies to watching a doctor pull out baby parts. If you're going to pass a law that suggests you shouldn't be able to terminate a child because, this stuff that doesn't happen if you abort a child at the 5th week. There's no baby parts at that point. You're talking about late term or at least second term terminations. That's not happening if someone aborts a child in the 10th week. There's no baby parts coming out like that. You're just as extreme with a statement like that as folks on the left always going to somebody's been raped. You're doing the same thing in the other direction. Looking in the comments, people need to get educated, says Jennifer. Like I said, if you're not going to help the mom out, I don't care how much education you got. If you're going to force somebody to carry a baby to term, you're not going to do anything for them. I don't think you're working on behalf of that mom or that baby. You're not doing anything but preventing her from having the doctor terminated. But you're not going to do anything at all to help her once the child's alive. Your whole stance is keep your legs closed or else. I'm not a fan of that. I do believe if you're going to start putting some controls on her life. Anything that results from your legislative controls, you should be willing to assist in. Fact is, where I'm from, Chicago, there's a lot of women that are hooked on substances, abusing substances, crack, heroin, opioids, drugs, whatever. One of those folks get pregnant, you want to force a drug addicted baby to come to term? There's a lot of problems that can arise from that. Kid can be born a mutant, multiple eyes, multiple legs. I mean, she's hooked on whatever. She's not going to be mom of the year. You always hear the folks on the right, where there is adoption, who the hell's going to, where are all of the folks lined up to adopt drug addicted babies? Nobody's going to adopt that, because this is part of the whole spiel of people that are being forced to have a baby. They're going to be forced too. And I see in the comments, yeah, off the burdens. I don't quite get that. It's not the Republicans. Let me go back to the box. Babies live after being born at 24 weeks. What? 24 weeks, what is that? 6 months? Yeah, you could probably, like my last guest was saying, viability, you could probably save a preemie at 6 months. That's probably in some cases. Continuing on with the program, Barry B. Good evening, welcome to the program. Every time we get this, I don't know why they do that, but every time. Barry B, good afternoon, welcome to the program. Barry.
Hey, Tim, how's it going?
It's going all right. So, why is this election so close? That's what we were originally talking about. The fact that people believe that Kamala and Biden literally destroyed the economy, is destroying the country. And then they believe that Trump is a threat to the republic, going to destroy democracy. If both of these folks are so damn, why is this election so close? Why isn't somebody running away with it?
It's close because of what everybody's experienced the last 4 years. And also the 4 years prior, everybody remembers how things were. That's one reason why it's close.
Let's dig into this. Okay, you said what everybody experienced in the last 4 years, and then how things are going the 4 years before. Let's start out with the last 4 years. What did everybody experience in the last 4 years, in your opinion?
The cost of everything shot up.
The economy.
People felt it in their pocketbooks a lot. Economy. Just look at the world on a bigger scope. How many wars are started in the past 4 years?
Do you personally
started, increased?
Yeah. Do you personally believe the two biggest conflicts are obviously Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, dealing with basically the Middle East at this point? Do you personally blame the current administration for any of those conflicts?
I'm not going to say necessarily blame them solely, but they're part of the reason why it happened. It's like, we know if Trump had been in office, those conflicts wouldn't be happening.
Why not?
Mainly because of the kind of person Trump is. Trump is a wild card. And the leaders of any of those countries or regions, they're not stupid people. And they would much rather face somebody that they know. Like, Joe Biden is a weak leader. They knew that. They knew they're not going to get hardly any pushback from Biden. So they're not sure exactly what he would do.
Here's what I don't understand, because you're not the first to suggest that Biden's a weak leader, and that's why maybe Putin went into the Ukraine. Now, Putin went into the Ukraine in February of 2022. With Biden being a weak leader, as you're suggesting, do you believe Putin, when he went into the Ukraine in February of 2022, under a weak leader like Biden, felt that he would be still dealing with the Ukrainians 2.5 years later?
Say that again. Hold on.
Do you be? Wait, he's on pause now. I'll give him a second to come back. Apparently, you got your signal's weak or something there. I may have to drop Barry because
yeah, I live in.
Yeah, you're
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're going in and out. But I'll ask you: do you think that Putin, seizing the opportunity of Biden being a weak leader expected to still be dealing with the Ukraine 2.5 years later. He's lost so many soldiers that he's now importing soldiers from North Korea. Do you think he saw that happening, considering where we got a weak leader in America now?
I'm not going to say that he saw it, but I think he probably figured it into it was going to be it wasn't going to be something quick.
To that level where he's now got it.
I believe Putin.
Go ahead.
I believe Putin prepared for a long haul battle with Ukraine.
So, Biden is only going to be there for a limited time. So you decide to attack under Biden for a long haul. What is your definition of a long haul? I mean, nobody expected the Ukraine to still be going at this length of time. I mean, that little country is giving a world superpower a run for its money 2.5 years later.
Yeah, because it's getting billions of dollars
from a weak leader.
Well, that's not necessarily the leadership. That's part of the weak leadership, giving them billions of dollars in the first place.
Well, if you had Trump, the money wouldn't be flowing.
Yeah.
So the only reason Russia is still stumbling and dealing with the Ukraine is because of the weak leader Biden.
Yes.
Okay, so looking at what has happened to Russia, where they've lost so many soldiers that they've now had to start importing them from North Korea. They've lost a hell of a lot of tanks. They've lost aircraft. Even up to the Ukraine has now launched a few attacks inside of the nation of Russia itself. Is it safe to say that maybe they underestimated Biden? Because without Biden, Ukraine is doing none of this. This weak leader has given the Ukrainians strength to do all of this stuff. Is it not possible that maybe they underestimated Biden?
I don't think so. Giving someone money doesn't make you a strong leader.
So what makes him a weak leader?
Well, the fact that he allowed the money to go to him in the first place is one reason.
So he would have been a strong leader if he had to just let Ukrainians fall?
There are certain places that it's our business, and that is not our business to be over there. Neither is the Middle East.
So then let me ask you this. Considering your claim that it's not our business to be involved in these conflicts, if Russia had have attacked the Ukraine, as they did, and Biden took your stance, it's not our place to be over here, that means Russia acquires the Ukraine and becomes a bigger, stronger nation under Biden's watch. How might Trump and MAGA have viewed that if Russia became a bigger, stronger country under Biden's watch?
How would MAGA have viewed that?
Yeah. They've acquired the Ukraine since Biden's been in office.
Okay. I don't know. Honestly, don't know how they would have viewed it.
You can't be for.
It's one of those things that happens sometimes.
It's one of those things that happens sometimes.
Yes.
You know you're shitting me, right? I think we can all tell you shit. You're telling me Trump supporters would have looked at Russia becoming a bigger, stronger nation under Biden's watch, and their response would have been, well, that happens sometimes. Take your time. Take your time.
It has to be able to defend itself.
I get that. I understand that.
And giving some aid, okay. But to just give billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, it just doesn't make any sense.
Actually, it does. I'll tell you why, Barry. America doesn't do for people out of the kindness of our heart. Otherwise, we'd be helping out folks in Africa and people in the Middle East. When we give assistance to countries, it's kind of like an investment. You ever stop at a intersection in an urban area and some guy jumps on your hood and he's trying to clean your windshield? He's not doing that for free. He's doing that because he's expecting a donation. If we help the Ukrainians push Russia out of their nation, you know how many favors we're going to get from that? You know we're going to get a base in Ukraine from that where we can now do surveillance on Russia from across the street. We're going to get a lot of things out of that. There's a reason why everybody in D.C., with the exception of Trump and MAGA, believe we should continue helping the Ukraine. When there was like 9 other candidates running against Trump, Vivek and Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley, they asked them during that debate, would you continue assisting the Ukraine if you became all of them raised their hand. So Trump is the only person that is saying what you're saying. Trump and his supporters, the rest of Washington, independents, traditional Republicans, and liberals alike, they all are favoring helping the Ukraine. Why do you think that is?
Honestly, don't know.
What about the base? You think if we could get access to the Ukraine while Russia remains our adversary, to be able to be that close, you think that would benefit the United States at all? If Ukraine now becomes an ally, living literally across the street from Ukraine, do you think that would benefit America at all?
I don't necessarily benefit America directly.
If we have bases in the Ukraine, imagine Russia at the height of the Soviet Union having bases in Canada, bases in Mexico. Maybe they got a military base in Tijuana or a military base in Toronto. The Soviet Union. You don't think that would benefit Russia at all if they could have done that?
I mean, it's possible.
Possible. Okay, fair enough. You drive a hard bargain. I get I get where you're going with this. So why is this election so close? You said because of how we saw what happened in the last 4 years, but you also stated people also remember what was done under the Trump administration. So I got to ask you, just like I asked with the first 4 years, what went wrong under Trump where people are also keeping the election close?
The main thing that went wrong with Trump's administration was the whole COVID-19 pandemic and that happening.
How did it go wrong?
How did it go wrong? Well, honestly, the whole COVID thing never should have happened in the first place.
Well, we know that, but how? Are you talking about the handling?
It was an accident.
Yeah, but are you talking about the handling of COVID?
I thought the handling was itself wasn't bad.
Let me ask you this. You remember the old letter grades we got in high school, A, B, C, D, or F? What letter grade would you give Trump on handling the pandemic?
A letter grade?
Yeah.
B plus, A minus.
A minus. Wow. What are you basing that on?
What else was he supposed to do other than what he did?
Barry, he got on television and told people it would be gone by April. Where the hell he get that information from? Who told him to say that?
Well, honestly, there's probably no reason it shouldn't not know about gone by April, but
why would he say that? The point I'm making is, why would you go in front of a nation where thousands of people are reportedly dying and tell them this will be gone by April, and it's based on literally nothing?
The only thing I can think is just trying to give him some hope.
False hope.
Well,
I thought he didn't like Obama's phrase about hope and change. You telling me he borrowed that? Did I lose you, Barry?
no.
It'll be gone by April. Why would he say that?
I didn't ever remember him saying that it would be gone by April.
Okay. A minus. Okay, well, he definitely said it. Then I have to also follow up with, why would you have Dr. Fauci on television giving advice, wearing masks, social distancing, and all of that? And then at night, You're holding rallies where everybody's yelling, fire Dr. Fauci, and you're giving them an indication that you're going to hold Dr. Fauci accountable. Then the next day, you're back on television, standing beside Dr. Fauci as he gives instructions to the public, appearing that you're in unison with Dr. Fauci. Then the next night, you're back at a rally again, attacking him. So, do you not see where that might be sending mixed messages? Where even your own supporters are yelling, fire this guy, he's the wrong guy, but yet you're on TV during the daytime indicating that you're standing in solidarity with the guy. How do you see that?
I never saw Trump as really standing in solidarity with Fauci.
He's on television standing right next to the guy while Dr. Fauci is giving instructions. Trump had the ability to reallocate Dr. Fauci to the HIV task force or something else and take him off of COVID. Why would you leave this guy in place that apparently you feel is incompetent?
That's an excellent question.
A minus, you sure?
Maybe more B plus.
Okay, we're working on it. All right. We'll leave it at a B plus for now, Barry. I do got to move it on, but as always, you're welcome back anytime.
All right, thank you, Tim.
Anytime. All right, moving on with the program. I don't know what I just hit there. Continuing on, D minus. Yeah, I see some folks in the comments have a difference of opinion on that A minus. That's pretty high ranking. Wow, A minus, huh? Kamala wants to raise your taxes, says K Coates. Yeah. I think you're going to get more taxes raised under a Democratic administration than a Republican administration every day, all day. Because the Republicans don't believe in any social programs. You leave it up to the Republican Party, they would cut your taxes down to nil. But if you fell on your face, there would likely be no social programs available. The Republicans would rather you go to your church and hope that they feel generous. So you're going to get less taxes under a right-wing government because you're going to get less help if you need it under a right-wing government. So it kind of plays into each other. There's higher taxes in left-wing administrations, and there are more social programs for the downtrodden in left-wing administrations. The money has to come from somewhere, which is why I state, if you are middle class, certainly if you're wealthy and beyond, and you vote solely based on your bottom line, you don't want to ever be forced to share or, help out, you should vote Republican. I strongly believe that. Because the Republican Party will never force you via taxes to help anybody. If you want to keep your money and you don't want to be forced to share any of it, I totally agree. You should vote Republican. If you own a business, small business, large business, who gives a damn what size the business is? And once again, you vote based on your bottom line, you should vote Republican. You don't want to be forced to give your employees a higher minimum wage or unemployment insurance, or you don't want to be forced, to provide any, let them unionize it. You should vote Republican. Because the Democrats are going to try to force those labor laws through. The Republicans are going to say this stuff hurts big business. It hurts small businesses. So we're not going to do it. So I totally believe that there's a reason to vote Republican, and that certainly is one of them. They'll force you to give taxes to the rich. That's even worse. That's even worse. I never owed taxes until Trump. I will say that that's happened with me. Because I run a small business operation, and under Trump's new tax plan, I can't claim and deduct the things I used to be able to. So I may have that same complaint you just had. Let me go back to the box, though, because he did change the tax structure, and folks are bitching that they can't claim and deduct things they used to be able to deduct. Cambeezy, good evening, or better yet, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. If you don't want to pay, go fight for women. If you don't want to pay, go fight your wars for yourself. I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the whole Ukraine thing. I would have to tackle that in detail. Carlos, good afternoon.
Hey, man, we've spoken before. I don't know if you remember.
I go through a lot of callers. I'm going to say right now I don't remember. I do go through a lot. But we can speak.
The only thing I can think of right now is Barry B. And I'm wondering what that B stands for. I mean, my goodness.
A minus. A minus.
Especially COVID. How about drinking some bleach, you know, or some ultraviolet raises, you know.
A minus. Well, he did say disinfected. He didn't say bleach, but it's kind of the same thing. But he said it. But
how about giving a microphone a head job the other day? You know, what about that? I mean, this guy, you know, Hillary was right back in her day when she said, or she alluded to deplorables. I'm thinking, come on, man. I mean, vote for Trump because you're a hateful bigot. How's that? You know,
damn.
I mean,
you don't think all MAGA, you don't think all Trump supporters are hateful bigots, though, do you?
Oh man, I tell you, I'm 68 years old, veteran.
Appreciate your service.
Father of 6, you know, 4 ex-wives. I'm about as bad as the next.
You should be making. You should be out there singing the blues, not talking to me. You should be in Nashville somewhere.
I got lucky, you know. I made it, so we got to be able to retire. But nonetheless, you know, I'm going by what he says. You know, I listen to more watch Trump more than anything. You know, I'm voting for Kamala. I'm glad to, but I mean, when I turn the TV on and she's talking or her running mate's talking, I kind of change the channel because I know what they're going to say. If I'm listening to if Rachel Maddow's on there, I don't listen to her because I know what she's going to say, or Jon Stewart, or Fox News especially.
Right.
You know, I listen to what he's saying to reassure me what he says, and I'm sitting there thinking, how can you continue to support this guy based on what he says out of his mouth? He's lowered the bar so low, it's just unfortunate.
Give me some examples of something that you believe Trump has said that is so over the, you know, that crosses the line so much that people shouldn't support him. What has he done to make you say that?
Well, he said, what's his name about
Liz Cheney?
Senator in Wyoming or whatever. What's his name?
You talking about Congresswoman Liz Cheney?
Yeah, he said, you know, more like going to put a bunch of guns on their shooter.
Well, folks are suggesting, I got to push back in this manner.
I'll tell you right now, I can sit here and say that I think everybody in the world should do blank, 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 and I'd have the FBI, CIA, or whoever on my butt simply just because I made the comment. I remember when Ted Nugent said, he said something about assassinating or shooting himself, Obama. You didn't hear nothing. Supposedly the CIA or FBI, somebody would have told him that, yeah, you need to tone it down. You know, but if you was to say something, me, or you was to say something, even on TikTok, you get censored. You know, about saying something that he gets away with saying.
But what about the notion that he was indicating that maybe if some of these folks in D.C. realize what goes into sending folks like yourself, you're a military veteran, like yourself in the war, that maybe they wouldn't do it? Because folks are saying that he viewed her as a warmonger, and he was showing that maybe you need to get a taste of your own medicine and realize that this isn't something you should just do willy-nilly.
But on Ukraine, like you said, in other words, we should be doing what we're doing. We should have supported them more, and hopefully, you know, I don't know one way or the other what's going to happen Tuesday. I know what I hope happens. We need to support them, whatever it takes to run them out there, just like with the Afghans and Russia up in Afghanistan. Yeah. Charlie Wilson's war. I don't know if you remember that one. But anyways, they put a base up there because, like you said, we don't want a Russian base in Canada or Mexico.
Right.
Or, you know, just like the Cuban Missile Crisis thing, you know?
Right.
So,
well, my last caller was trying to indicate that he wasn't for sure if it would be helpful to the United States if we had a base in Kyiv or somewhere in the Ukraine. He's like, I don't know. It might not be helpful.
Because that's how stupid O'Barrowby is. You know? He wants to be a winner. I want to be a winner. You know, just like them people with the Yankees. They're just so upset that the Dodgers won, there's nothing you can say.
Yeah.
You know? You lost.
So let me ask you that. Speaking of what you said about the Yankees being so upset the Dodgers won, let's take that in terms of politics. Wednesday morning, how do you think Wednesday morning in America will be if we find out the candidate of choice didn't win. Let's say, for instance, Trump loses or Kamala loses. You think this country's going to be, we're going to be just fine?
If Trump loses, that depends on what the media lets him get on TV and say.
Ooh.
He's liable to get on TV again and say, all right, we're going to meet down there January 5th this time and turn it out, just to be turning it out. Riot in your cities.
Well, wow. Because the thing about it is when Trump held that protest on January 6th, for lack of a better term, they had to get a permit to protest on January 6th. You can't just show up with all of this huge crowd in D.C. They got a permit. And one of the things that came out at the January 6th hearings committee, which I know my beloved MAGA, none of you guys watched that, but it came out that they were told the Capitol building is closed, and because obviously they were holding they're holding a ceremony in the Capitol building, so you can't go there. And Trump's side assured them when they were getting the protest that they were not going to go to the Capitol building. So we know that was violated by Trump saying we're going to march to the Capitol and I'll be there. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is I believe that if this election goes by way of Kamala Harris, let's say she wins, my guess is they would deny any permits in D.C. altogether for that day. So anybody that shows up is already in violation.
That don't stop them from climbing on a bus and going to D.C.
Well, then you create some mass arrest zone. If you've denied them, if this area is cordoned off and this area is deemed, unavailable for permitting, you show up anyway, I mean, then you're in violation.
Yeah, it'd be unfortunate because you'd have, as you see yourself, Fox News supporting everything. In other words, let's say they were all going down to D.C., Fox News would be saying that, they're trying to violate their freedom of speech, blah, blah, blah,
Fox News is going to defend Trump no matter what. I get that. But I see in the comments somebody said there's a user guy said there's a fence already up in D.C. I don't know, but I heard they are already boarding windows and things like that out there. If they decide to deny anybody a permit to protest on the day of the inauguration, and Fox News gets up there and complains about that, like they don't have any consideration of what happened last time, I guarantee they would have no problem banning protests if there was another George Floyd-like incident. They would have no problem with cities putting in limitations on protests. But they're going to favor that? I'd have to see that because that would be insane.
Well, I tell you, I hope if he gets elected, that he was just bullshitting us about taking over the country, banning, closing TV stations down, and all the crazy stuff he said to all these idiots to get him elected. So, because you watch, I think I said today they spent $13 billion total on this election. Everybody on advertisement.
Yeah.
I think it's $13 billion. That's a crazy amount of money. But you watch it on the news, for instance, here locally in Indianapolis. Now, I watch an ad. I know it makes it sound biased for me. They're talking about local politicians, and everything they were saying against that local politician, the Democrat politician, was lie after lie after lie after lie. And I'm thinking, man, it's just it is a shame that we've become that in this society. So I just hope if Kamala gets elected that she does the right thing. I voted for Obama both terms, but I mean there was some shit that they didn't do that they should have did. For instance, the health care. Why didn't he pass that his first term when we had the House and the Senate? How in the hell did it get passed his second term when we didn't have both houses?
Well, it's possible that maybe some of those Democratic senators told them behind the scenes, I don't have the votes in my constituency. I mean, just because they're Democrats don't mean they can. I mean, just like with Trump in the wall, some of Trump's stuff that he wanted to do, there are Republicans that may say no, like John McCain, for instance, didn't let him repeal and replace Obamacare. So maybe because the Universal Health Care Act was very unpopular. America's a selfish country. I'm going to say this again. I said it earlier. We don't like to help out the downtrodden if it comes by way of force through tax money. We would rather let them go to their local church and bag up something. But if it comes to having to pay a little bit extra in taxes to help out the poor, most Americans are not for that. I don't care. Even the rich Americans are not for it. So even though Obama came in with control of the Senate, it's possible he had senators telling them, I'm not sure I have the support in my state for me if I do what you want.
In other words, they'll get voted out.
Exactly. If I follow you, Mr. Obama, come next election, I may not be around because there are people getting voted out because of Trump. It could happen with Obama.
Well, I guess the character starts and ends right there in the House and the Senate as far as
Well, everybody's going to defend their job before they defend their principles. Liz Cheney is a good example of what can happen when you do it the wrong way. Most people are going to defend their job and title before they defend their principles. I think there's a hell of a lot of books, hell of a lot of interviews that are going to be coming out from Republican politicians if Trump loses and falls out of power. But right now, they're defending their jobs and their titles. I got to move it on, though, Carlos.
All right, good talking to you, brother. You have a good day. It's a good session you're having today.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. By the way, folks, smash that, tap that screen, smash that like button on YouTube. Get us up to about 70 if possible. You know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. We go left of Bernie Sanders, so I'm having dinner with Q. Everybody gets to speak. You can be critical of anyone in the comment section, including the host. That's how free speech works. Notorious, sung by the late B.I.G. Notorious says, what Kamala, spelled starting with C-U-M-A-L-A, what's Kamala gonna do for us? Well, she's making statements, holding rallies all over the place about what she's gonna do. She's gonna give a woman back her right to choose. She's gonna give you assistance if you're a first-time home buyer. There's a lot of things she's stating. Obviously, she's not gonna repeal and replace Obamacare. She's telling you what she's gonna do. You may not favor it. You may not like it. You may not believe it. You may think it's the worst thing that America could ever experience, but she is telling you what she's going to do for you. You just don't like it. How do YouTube viewers call in? Nikolai, right now, the only way I'm getting calls coming in is through TikTok. Same title for both of you folks, because I am horizontal and vertical on YouTube as well. But the audio you're hearing from callers is coming via TikTok. I haven't figured out how to take callers on YouTube just yet, so that's how you call in. Did you hear about the Jeffrey Epstein tape talking about Trump? No, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Trump was friends with Epstein, and the whole notion that when he wasn't on the flight list when he owns his own fucking jet. I mean, we don't know what Trump's flight list looked like. I mean, I'm not trying to say Trump is, but I'm definitely not trying to say he is not. He was hanging around the dude. I mean, it's possible. Over 2 million new home buyers a year. Who's going to pay for that? And that's the point I've been making since we started the program. Anytime you start trying to help out those in need, Americans respond with who's going to pay for that. That is why it is difficult to do things. That's why when you look at America, the richest country on earth, and you compare it to a lot, France, Germany, Spain, Australia, New Zealand, all these countries that are they have less wealth in America, and they're helping out their citizens in all these ways, and we don't. We are a selfish nation. That question that It's Too Deep asked, who's going to pay for that? I don't give a damn what you're trying to do for the downtrodden. That's what most Americans will ask. I don't want my tax money going to help out the downtrodden. Who's going to pay for it? You'll hear that no matter when you're talking about helping somebody out. Help out the homeless in California. Who's going to pay for it? No matter what you're talking about. Only time you really don't hear it is if it's talking about in terms of veterans. But just a regular American that is struggling, going through some things, shit, who's going to pay for that? I don't want my taxes to go up. Looking in the comments, yeah, because why should people already struggling have to foot the bill for someone else? Because they're lying about struggling, Matthias. Even the wealthy are saying, I don't want my tax money to go for this kind of stuff. It ain't just, I could see if you were looking at one homeless person and telling another homeless person, I need you to help. That's not the way it is. You got people that are making, living a comfortable life, and they're still saying who's going to pay for it. So it doesn't matter what financial level you exist at in the United States. Nobody on any level wants to help out. And then also you get folks like, you could have two homeless people spending week after week on the street next to each other. And if for some reason one of the persons gets some type of assistance Or better yet, let's say for instance, one person, one of the struggling individuals, gets his life together, cleans himself up, and actually goes out and gets a job, and somehow, some way, through his own hard work, gets on his feet. And then the moment he's on his feet, some politician comes along and wants to pass a law to help out the struggling homeless and maybe give him a few bucks. That guy who struggled to get out of that situation on his own will turn and look at the guy who's still homeless and say, nobody helped me. I didn't get anything, so I'm not going to look out for you. That's what people are saying when it comes to giving folks credit, what Kamala's talking about for buying homes, whether it is tuition forgiveness. I pay my loans. Nobody helped me, so I'm not going to help you. That's kind of the way our country is ran. I figured it out. So should you. Going to the box, appreciate that. Crown Gordon 777, Gen X. As always, it's a pleasure with Gen X. But who are you going to tell someone else that? Who are you to tell someone else that they are not struggling? Every American is struggling, if you ask. Every American. I mean, right now, we are the wealthiest country on earth. Yet when you hear at least the right describe the economy under Biden, you would think that people are sitting on their porch finishing off their dog because they have no food in the house. That's how people are describing what's going on right now. As one of my earlier callers mentioned, Trump has no problem selling hats, T-shirts, Bibles, and all. But all of the folks at the Trump rallies are saying we're poor as hell. Yet they got on all this Trump gear. You got $200 worth of Trump gear on, and you're talking about how much you're struggling. All Americans have the mindset of you always make it sound worse than it is. Gen X, good afternoon.
Afternoon, brother. How's your Sunday going?
It's going. I'm hoping my Bears win. They got a later game, so I figured I'd come on here and talk to the folks for a minute.
The Bears. Who they playing today?
Oh, shit. I bet money on it, too. I can't think of it right now because they're they're a point or two underdogs. I'd have to think about it. I've been writing the notes for this show, but whoever they're playing, I hope they win. I'll just say that. I know who they're playing. I just can't remember it right now.
Arizona.
Okay, there you in Arizona. By the way, it's an away game, but I think they're going to win.
All right. So there's something you said that I kind of agree with, as far because it applies to me.
Okay.
Back in 2010, 2011, I was that guy living week to week. I was that guy wondering where my next paycheck was going to, this and that. And in 2011, I mean, ain't no secret. I got a little bit of change. I bought Bitcoin, a lot of it, in 2011. And it worked out very, very, very well for me. I never got welfare. I never took any handouts. In fact, people that tried to help me, I took, because I didn't want it. I didn't want to feel like I owed anybody. So yeah, I feel the same way. Why should I? Nobody fucking helped me when I was down and out. In fact, the one single time my ex-wife and I tried to apply for help, we were either too white, had too much money, no kids, or we weren't in debt enough. And they turned us down. And after that, I was like, I will never ask for that shit again. I'll do this shit myself. And I did.
Right.
But I did. So now I'm of the opinion, you know what? Don't get me wrong. Now, my close friends, if they get into trouble, I've never, ever turned somebody away. When they say, "Hey, Gabe, you know, I'm kind of hurt. I'm down and out. I need." But
you're basically saying I'm only willing to help out people I know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. People that I know would have helped me. Sure.
And this is I believe there's a lot of Americans that are like you. I mean, it is what it is. But this is one reason why I say I don't see America as a Christian country. I don't hear nothing Christian in what you're saying. I mean, it's more of a selfish mindset. Like you said, I struggled, almost like a revenge mindset. I'm pissed off because when I was down, nobody looked out for me, so fuck everybody else. I understand why you're that way, but I'm just simply saying with most Americans having that mindset, I don't see the Christian-based nation in that at all.
It doesn't have anything to do with Christian base.
No, it don't. I agree, it does not at all.
About God, man. Don't make this about God. This ain't about God.
I don't think there's any way you could make it about God. To me, it sounds like just the opposite.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, to your other question, not to jump subjects on you.
Before you get to the other question, to me, this coincides with the speaker at the Madison Square Garden rally that said America is for Americans. It has that we're not going to share mentality written all over it. But what's your second question?
I didn't catch that guy at the MO or
Madison Square.
MSG thing.
I mean, you can just Google Americans for America is for Americans, and my guess is it'll probably come up, or go on YouTube and type in America is for Americans. That's what he said, to wide applause from MAGA. I mean, it just, it coincides with the, huh?
I'd have to hear exactly what it said, but I can't say I don't agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, it coincides with the whole, we can't be taking in immigrants and taking care of them. I mean, it pretty much says, look, we only are worried about taking care of each other. And then once you're in the country legally, or you're in the country born as an American, we ain't trying to take care of you either. Every man for himself.
Yeah, like, again, I'd have to hear the whole, I'd have to hear everything.
Okay, fair enough.
You know, to be fair.
Yeah. So what was your other topic? What was your other statement?
Well, the reason this race is so close, or seemingly so close, is because that's how the media wants it, man. That's how they're painting this picture. So that, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, zero, none, and you'll see on Wednesday, there is no doubt, none, that the left ain't gonna pull this off, because they are gonna fucking cheat. There's no doubt in my mind. So the media is setting this up now, so it ain't a huge surprise. Oh, it was a close race, and this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Bullshit.
So you're expecting...
They're already geared up to fucking cheat.
But you also believe the Democrats cheated in 2020, right?
Yep.
Okay. Any idea why we haven't seen any solid evidence yet?
Because there is none.
Then how you know they cheated?
I've said these to you because we've had conversations outside of your stream.
Right.
Okay? I strongly believe, okay, if I'm going to rob a bank, and I've got people in the bank and people that are going to investigate the robbery, and I'm covering all my bases, and it is well planned out, man, I'm not leaving no evidence.
So you believe
no evidence. The money going to be gone, something going to happen, but ain't nobody going to be able to prove that was me, or that wrongdoing actually happened, because I'm not leaving no evidence.
So you believe the Democrats are cheating geniuses? They perfected this where nobody can even see any trails they left behind.
Well, they did leave trails, but they were all circumstantial. At 3:30 in the morning, all those votes came in. Come on, I ain't that fucking stupid. I was born at night. It wasn't last night.
So then I have to ask you this then. Why is it that no Republican governor, virtually no Republican senator, no Republican congressperson is saying that Trump got cheated and he won the election? I mean, we're talking about Republicans. We're not talking about liberals. We're talking about Republicans.
Would you risk your career if you had no evidence at all? None, zero. But you knew it, and you fucking knew. What would you do? You're going to risk your career? Or are you going to shut your mouth and let life go on as normal?
Well,
I'm going to shut my mouth.
Well, to answer your question, if I had no fucking evidence, I wouldn't say it was a cheat. If you don't have no evidence, so what is it, in your heart? Is it? Are you making comments based on your feelings? If you have no evidence, then maybe there's a reason why you have no evidence. Maybe it didn't happen.
No, I'm not that dumb, Tim. I'm just not that gullible. You will never convince me in a million years they didn't cheat, or that they're not going to cheat this time. They're cheating. They've already got it. They've already got it planned out. They're burning ballot boxes. What I will say, to be fair, is that we don't know who burned the ballot boxes, because one of my friends brought that up and said, "Yeah, they're burning ballot boxes." I was like, "Well, how do you know that?" We don't know what they.
But see, Gen X, that's the problem, is that I said this in regards to the 2020 election, is that MAGA and Trump, well, I don't believe personally, maybe I'm wrong, but personally, I don't believe Trump actually believes what he's telling you folks. I think he's doing it for political capital, but I do believe MAGA believes it. And what I'm saying is, I believe MAGA has the mindset that Republicans are generally honest and Democrats cheat. So based on that notion, anything that looks suspicious during the election period, because you don't believe Republicans are capable of cheating. That's like the ballot boxes. You mentioned your friend automatically is going to assume the Democrat because Republicans wouldn't do this. Same thing when you watch Dinesh D'Souza 2000 Mules. Everything he showed things that look suspicious or where somebody might be cheating. But until you see what's on the ballot, there's no way to know if the cheating you're watching is actually being done in favor of the Democrats or the Republicans. Rudolph Giuliani, the Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss are passing around USB drives like vows of Christ. How do you know they're not Republican votes on there? You're just assuming they're cheating for Democrats.
I'll tell you why. Because there's a very simple answer, a very simple solution to this problem.
What is it?
And only the Democrats are fighting it.
What is it?
Voter ID. Very simple. There's a simple answer to it. And they fight voter ID tooth and nail.
I don't disagree with you that fighting against voter ID leaves the door open for fraud, but keep in mind, any fraud that you left, Republicans can go through that door too. It's not like any method you want to say where Democrats, it's not like the Republicans can't stuff ballot boxes or whatever. And I will also raise you, I will see your lack of voter ID and I will raise you gerrymandering and purging votes. Anytime you hear about votes being purged, that is strictly something Republicans are generally doing, and they're finding out a whole lot of them people that are being purged legally have the right to vote. They're purging people who legally should be allowed to vote, taking them off the voter rolls, and those people are not being advised you've been purged. CNN contacted 100 people, and I think over a dozen of them were shocked. Like, I have, got a passport. I'm an American citizen. I have a legal right to vote. They didn't tell me anything. So they purge you, and then when you show up to vote, thinking your vote counts, you're on the purge list. They just throw your vote out. The right is doing that, but the right is not calling that cheating. They're doing that.
Why don't they want voter ID? Why do they fight so hard against voter ID? You need ID to buy a pack of cigarettes. You need ID to open a checking account.
I get it.
You need ID to drive. Why do we not need an ID to vote?
The same reason why they're purging votes. They are passing laws and rules that they believe will favor their party. Not requiring, I don't know why that happened, Gen X, but not requiring an ID is something that is likely to benefit the Democrats, just like purging voter rolls is something that's likely to benefit the Republicans. I'm just simply saying this is not an election where only one side has some kind of patent on cheating. The right is doing it too. They're just not, they don't want to call it out. These long voter lines that are typically happening in Democratic states or Democratic cities that are in Republican states, there's a reason why you're in line for 7-8 hours. And there's a reason why it's only happening in Democratic cities that happen to be in Republican states.
Hey, brother, I'll leave you with this because I really don't want to get your
I get it.
Hey, Republicans, we don't cheat, and I'll tell you why we don't cheat. Because after walking on water and feeding millions with a loaf of bread, we just don't have the energy.
Oh, my God.
Have a great Sunday. Ladies, I'm open for sandwiches. Come on by.
All right, Gen X. Always a pleasure. Gen X is definitely a friend of the program, MAGA through the core. I always enjoy talking to Gen X. But, and I was telling him, he talked about, feeding loaves of bread. You know my take on that. In a capitalist society, certainly how the right talks. I believe that if Jesus was a modern day Republican, he would charge those folks for that bread. I mean, this is capitalism. I mean, I got the bread, Why should I have to share this? I don't believe in socialism, so Jesus would have charged for every slice of that bread. If you don't work, you don't eat. Ain't that what they say? You don't work, you don't eat. I'm not handing out my bread for free. I had to pay for it. Ain't that what they would say? Jesus wouldn't be sharing that bread if he had a MAGA hat on. That's my take. Look it in the comments, though. He literally just told multiple lies, says EZ. All right, and I see the comment, Big Dog said, yeah, get your own bread. Keep in mind, we're talking about a potential case of civil unrest. People building their own shelters and bugaloo, bug out bags, not bugaloo, different term, bug out bags and things like, well, people are arming themselves under that. Guys, listen, if I've already put aside my prepper cave or whatever, and when they call them zombies, but we know zombies essentially mean people who didn't prepare for the apocalypse and they need something to eat. That's what zombies are. So when you hear people talking about, I got some extra ammunition for the zombies, They're not talking about some show that comes on A&E. They're talking about if something happens and there's civil unrest and they have made a well-prepared shelter and folks who have not done that may be struggling and need something to eat and come to their, you got something for the zombies. You don't have to feed them. You got something for them. That's what they're talking about. It's a cruel world out there. It's a cruel world. Looking in the comments real quick, and thank you folks that are tapping the screen on TikTok. We're gonna have a small amount of likes today because there's just a lot of lazy thumbs here. Smash that like button on YouTube. Maybe we can get to 100. I don't know. Same thing on my horizontal feed. First time ever we've done a horizontal feed on YouTube, but certainly for you folks. I want to look at a few comments on YouTube if I can, because I've not done it on my, I don't even have the right holder, so I don't think I can do it. You sound like the greedy. Now I see why you rep the hat. Jack Boy. You named yourself Jack Boy. There's a million ways you can go with that, but you said I sound like the greedy. Now I see why you have the hat. Don't know what I said to indicate that. Feel free to elaborate on it so I can continue on with that. Oh, cut it out. If you're a threat, then expect issues. Yeah. If we're dealing in a Mad Max environment where a lot of folks are struggling after whatever kind of apocalypse or event we've had, people are starving where they are finishing off their dog or cat because they have nothing else to eat, and I'm in some type of prepper shelter where I've got plenty of stocked up food that'll last for 20, 25 years, everybody that approaches my shelter is a threat. Period. Because I'm the only one for miles that got plenty of food, plenty of things to eat. Maybe I got solar panels and electricity, all of the goodies. Everybody's a threat. That's why, yeah, when they say I got to get some extra ammo for the zombies, that's what they're talking about. Everybody that comes near me is a threat because I got what everybody not only wants, but they actually kind of need. They actually kind of need something to eat. So it ain't that they want to eat, they kind of need it. There's no food around. Looking in the comments, so call it what it is, zombies. No, it ain't zombies, it's poor, downtrodden human beings. Zombies. All right, who should last longer? People that work by themselves or groups of people working together? Depends on how effective. I mean, you got some people that are so effective as a loner that they could damn near be better, more efficient than a whole group. Yeah, the whole group can come up with a lot more inventions and do things a lot quicker, but they also can be more dependent. You need more supplies. You need more food for that whole group, for instance. One man might go out and catch a big ass fish that he can, smoke or dry out and last him for several meals. The whole group got to catch a bunch of fish because one ain't gonna last them. So there's some pros and cons to it. I'll just say that. You ever watch what is it? Naked and Afraid on Discovery Channel. It's a good show for that. Because they have a version called XL where there's a bunch of people working together out there. And there's a lot of folks that say, I work better alone. I can easily do these 21, 40 days out here alone, but I don't want to work in a group because somebody might be lazy. So now I got to build a bigger shelter when they have no shelter building skills. Some people work better alone. Going back to the box. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 70,000. We will continue on with, I tried to bring up Kim Beasy. We'll try it again. Good afternoon. I don't believe in zombies, just threats. Whatever you want to call it. Exactly. The threats are zombies. Kim Beasy, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Tim. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. So what do you think, in regards to this election, why is it so close? I mean, folks are saying that Biden and Harris destroyed the damn country financially, yet they are competitive with Trump. Why isn't Trump running away with it?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of uneducated voters. That's what I think.
What should they know, in your opinion, that they don't seem to know?
Some of them are uneducated, and then there's also a group.
No, but you're saying, I get that they're uneducated. What? Give me three things that you believe a typical uneducated voter does not know, but they damn sure should know.
All right. So what we should know is, I've said this to you before. Trump is racist. People do not believe that. Why they don't believe that?
I thought you were supporting Trump until you said that, but keep going.
Can I play you a very short clip?
Okay.
Very short clip.
Let me hear it.
Probably heard before. I don't know. Here you go.
Would you rather have the black president or the white president who got 1.7 billion off the price? I think they want the white guy right now.
Have you ever heard that clip before?
Yeah, I've heard it, but that's not racist, though.
You don't think so?
I mean, it's. I don't know what sense it makes. I don't see where I don't hear that and think he hates black people.
Yeah, I know. Rather, he's saying people would rather have a white president. I think that's, at the end of the day, I think that's racist. I don't think we should say, I want this president because he's black, or I want this president because he's white.
True. Yes, skin color shouldn't have came into it.
Right.
You know something? I will say this: the way you interpreted it, which I didn't interpret it, that the way you interpreted it does sound racist. Where, you know, wouldn't you rather have a white guy in office than a black guy? I don't know if I would have. I almost would need to hear it again to hear that. But the way you interpreted it is racist.
Right. Now, here's the thing. Most things that Trump say that are racist are taken another way. Of course, people interpret it the way they want to.
Yeah, that's true, but that's true throughout history. I agree with you 100%. I'm not saying Trump, but even in Trump's case, though, that is how racism generally works, is that because racist people generally don't come out and say, I don't like people simply because of their skin color. They usually have a secondary plausible explanation for, I'm for segregation. I don't hate these people. I think they should just live over there and be with their kind, and I be with my. That's racist as hell. But they have a plausible reason for why they are saying it. So I do agree. They don't generally come out and admit it.
Right. Now, and I asked the question because of course people are going to be in the comments saying that I'm, race baiting or whatever. But here's my thing: if this isn't, or if Trump has not displayed signs of racism, what is it? What would qualify for y'all to make it, not acceptable? What's not acceptable to y'all? Do we have to have? Does there have to be a noose involved?
I can answer that question pretty simple. Just take an African American, or take a African American or a person of color, put them on stage running for some kind of political office, and have them say the same Trump quotes, but they are aimed at Caucasians, and it would become racist then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's all you need to do.
That's one thing. So we're talking about three things that the voters should know. All right, let's go to police immunity.
That's one I often bring up. Yeah.
Some people don't know about that. Now, this is effective whether you're black or not. If you have to walk down the street, if you want to walk down the street and get a Coke, in the middle of the night, be ready for it, be ready to be stopped. You added time to your day. You got this 20 minutes out of your day that you're losing.
Well, you're talking about stop and frisk. You're not talking about police immunity. You're talking about stop and frisk.
They're same.
Now, one of them can get you killed. Stop and frisk, they still are supposed to be accountable for what they do when they stop and frisk you. Immunity means they don't have no accountability. That's way worse. Alter ego. Thank you.
I think that's right. Man.
Well, he's in favor of both, so we're having a conversation, but Trump is in favor of both stop and frisk and police immunity in liberal cities.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we know that targets
blacks. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, you making you tearing this list up. All right, what else you got?
What else I got? Let's get off of this. Let's go to tax plans. Everybody's worried about the economy. Everybody thinks the economy was so much better under Trump. Yeah, we probably experienced that for 2 years. And again, that's about interpretation. If you're going to interpret it that we lived rather decently, during his presidency, why is that the case? If we look at why that's the case, Trump won't be the answer. Simply won't be the answer to that.
Well, I'm one that I tend to believe that if you're the coach of the team, if the team wins or if they lose, as a coach, you get credit for it. I mean, even if you're a coach that sucks, but you happen to have Tom Brady on your team or you got Michael Jordan on your team, even if you're a terrible coach, at the end of the year, they're going to dump Gatorade on you, even though you may have not done anything. And under Trump, we had a good economy. He was the coach. So he gets, because we know damn well, because folks say that well, Trump didn't give us a good economy. He inherited it from Obama or whatever they say. We know damn well if Trump had have inherited a good economy from Obama and he ruined it, we would be blaming him for ruining it. But because it was good, we blame the guy before him. So that means he cannot get a good grade on the economy. That's not fair to him.
No, he can't get a good grade on the economy. And regardless to the team, this is a brand new team. This won't even be the same team because all this team quit. They quit on him.
That is true.
Everybody quit on him.
That is.
If your whole team quit on you, what does that say about you as a coach?
Yeah, well, you a hard coach, I guess. The Texas mom, appreciate that gift there. Texas mom on fire. So
Nick Saban was a hard coach, but he won a hell of a lot of football games.
well, some people think Trump was a winner too.
He ain't winning no more games. It's over with.
He might be about to win a whole election.
Hey, if he win the election, we still will lose the ball game.
Damn. You think he that bad?
I think he's that bad. He wins the election, we lose the ball game as Americans. I think everything we fought for is null and void.
Now, before I let you go, this is in regards to what you talked about Trump and his intolerance. You claimed it. Moogly in the comments on YouTube says Mary Trump. I don't know who Mary Trump is. Mary Trump said he uses the N-word privately. So Trump is going around referring to blacks as the N-word. Do you believe that?
I believe that. Of course I believe it.
Jeez.
Now, it doesn't bother me. I don't even care about racism as much as it may seem, but I do care about it at this big of a, when this...
At the presidential level.
Yeah, at the presidential level, this is different. I don't care if I had a next door neighbor that was, if he bothered me every now and then because I'm black, that don't bother me. But now we're talking about politics.
Well, wait a minute. You say you had a next door neighbor that bothers you every now and then because you're black. You know there's a real case of that. I cannot remember what city it's in, but this just happened like a week or two ago where a guy had a neighbor that constantly bothered him every now and then because he was black, and he shot him in the neck while he was cutting down a tree. Somebody in the comments, I'm sure you've heard this because it's been all in the news, but he had a neighbor and he had been calling the police on this neighbor several times. He was a black man who, I think his wife was white, but his neighbor was constantly harassing him, and he was constantly, in Minnesota is where it happened. Now I know it was in Minnesota, and it took them, and they're complaining like, why the hell did it come to this before you guys finally held this dude accountable? But he actually was out cutting a tree, and apparently the neighbor had told him, if you touch that tree, he gonna do something to him. And while the guy was cutting the tree, the guy opened up his upstairs window or whatever and shot the guy down below in the neck. So that actually happens.
And it's going on. And here's the thing, Tim. People think that it ended at the civil rights. People think that it ended then. It did not. It's still going on. Mm-hmm. I've had experience myself. I moved. I lived in a red state my whole life. Then I moved to another red state, which is probably even more red. I live in probably the most red state in the country right now.
Alabama?
Tennessee.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I think Alabama and Mississippi might be a little bit more red than where you at.
Well, maybe I was wrong because I started in Alabama. I'm from Birmingham.
Really?
Yeah. So big civil rights place. So
are you in Memphis?
No, I'm in Knoxville.
That's what it is you move from a somewhat the few bluish areas of Alabama to a red area of Tennessee. That's what happened. Yeah, but Alabama's a more red state than Tennessee, but you just moved to a very red, because Eastern Tennessee, that shit's very red.
Yeah, very red. So yeah. I've had encounters here. I had a person tell me that I was a NGGA and not a GER. I said, excuse me, I don't even know what that means, but okay. I don't even know what that means, but okay. But, we still have these experiences, and I think that people, people try to invalidate our experiences like they don't happen. They're still happening. Yeah. It's still going on. And, this Trump is going to support that even more. We're going to experience that even more with Trump as a president. And that's my...
All right. That sounds frightening. So you think Kamala's going to pull it off?
I think she's going to pull it off. Yeah, I got a lot of faith in her. And the fact that they're even saying it's close tells me that she's probably winning, because Trump is telling us that he's so far ahead. Yeah, but it doesn't look like his voters are doing what they were told to do to make it too big to rig. I don't think I don't think it's too big to read. So
Wow. All right, fair enough. I don't think Trump's doing his supporters. I don't think he's doing his supporters a solid by making it sound like it's already in the bag. You should be making it sound like it's terrible, and the Democrats are coming close to taking it. So I need you guys all out here to vote. I mean, he shouldn't. I don't think portraying it as I've already got in the bag is a good thing for any candidate. But I agree with you. The media may be having something to do with it as well. I'll give you the last word.
Well, the man's 78 years old, so we can't. Hey, he might not even know what's going on, like he says about Biden. He can't even open the door. I'm a never Trump guy, like JD Vance says. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Fair enough. That's a good song, by the way. Appreciate you coming through. All right, moving on to the program. Kevin Gibson. Thank you for the support on YouTube. Thank you, Kevin Gibson. Someone said Trump could have maybe opened that door if his hands were bigger. Trump's greasy nussy. That's your name, 666 that way. Trump's greasy nussy. Okay, yikes. Someone said Trump could have maybe opened the door if his hand. I don't quite get what you're saying there. Every race wants to promote their racism. Your focus will create more aggression and promote what? Yeah, there's some of that in there. Every race want to promote themselves as being a victim. I do agree with that. But if you are actually a victim, unlike what I think it was Morgan Freeman that said, how do you stop racism? Start talking about it. I think that was the dumbest advice you could give. If you truly are a victim, being silent about it is the worst thing you can do. I mean, if I'm victimizing you, that's the number one thing I want you to do, is to not say anything about it. I mean, I don't want you to draw attention to it. Let me continue on with the program, though. Continuing on with Texas Mom. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Texas Mom in the house. White people create racism and doesn't understand the origin of it. I don't agree with that, Black Power. I don't think anybody creates racism. It's always been there. You can put two people on an island that are of different cultures and they will have an issue with each other. And I don't believe they don't understand the origin of it either. I do believe they understand the origin of it. It just might not be in their benefit to come out and say that. Texas Mom, good afternoon.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm in the trenches, 48 hours out. Why isn't Trump running away with this if Kamala and Biden has destroyed the country financially?
Well, you know my opinion on this, but I'm gonna throw a monkey wrench to you.
Okay.
What is going to happen, which is already started, okay? It's already started. So what do you think's gonna happen? Let's just say that Trump wins. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So November the 5th, everybody goes, votes. Trump comes out to be the winner. Now, January 6th is when they're supposed to accept the nomination, correct?
Right.
Okay, well, what's going to happen if they change January the 6th to January the 3rd?
What would be
January the 6th?
What would be the grounds to do that?
Disqualifying Trump as the winner.
No, why would you pick the 3rd versus the 6th?
Disqualifying Trump as the winner.
On what grounds?
Because of January 6th of 2021. I
don't see how that could happen this quick. I mean, it certainly.
It's already in play.
No, I mean, he hasn't even been found guilty of January 6th. I don't think you can move that quickly, Texas Mom.
So how are they taking him off of ballots, or how are they disqualifying him from ballots for January 6th if he's never been convicted of January 6th?
Where is Trump being disqualified? Give me the state. Where's that happening at?
I want to say, I think it's Illinois.
I mean, he's not going to win Illinois anyway, but I have not heard him being taken off the ballot because of January 6th.
Came in today. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard it today.
Where did you hear it? Where did you hear it?
It was on one of the news. Of course, one of the left-leaning news.
Well, let's be clear.
Like I said, you hear what I I said, one of the left-leaning news.
But let's be clear, if Trump was being taken off ballots in Illinois, you know how many Trump supporters are in Illinois? Outside of Chicago, downstate Illinois, once you get past Springfield, there's all of them counties are red. If Trump was being taken off ballots in Illinois, you would have heard that on all of the news, not one channel. Fox News and OAN and Newsmax would have reporters on the ground in Illinois. That ain't happening, Texas, Mom. That's just not happening. You would have heard that from every source possible. Everybody watching the program would have heard that.
I'm just saying. I'm just giving you a scenario.
There, you do know you do know the Russians are involved, and misinformation is a plenty in this election. Because everybody would have heard of that by now.
I'm just giving you a scenario now.
Okay. All right. What else you got?
It's a scenario. That's why I said, let me throw something at you.
All right. Toss something else.
Let me throw something
That missed. Throw something else at me. You missed with that. Throw something else.
So if it's already in play, if this is already in play.
In play how?
It just hold on.
Okay.
If it's already in play, and there is governors that's already talking about this. So they do this, they disqualify him.
What governors?
Ratkins? Governor Ratkins?
What state is he from?
Give me a minute, I have it written down. Let me turn my light on so I can see. Because you know I make notes.
I know you make notes. Definitely make notes on the sources
Maryland.
you get. Huh?
Maryland.
Okay.
Maryland.
Give me another one.
Okay, so let's just say Ratkin, okay? Governor Ratkin
from
Maryland has put into play for invoking the 14th Amendment, Section 3, which states it disqualifies any former government official that has taken oath to office due to an insurrection.
He hasn't been found guilty of that.
Okay, just listen. But this is why this could happen.
No, it
let's
can't.
just say.
I'm trying. I'm really working with you. I'm trying.
Just hold up. Let's just say that this is in play. Okay. So they're supposed to do it on January the 6th. Let's just say they move it to the 3rd. So it's unknown. I'm just saying. So it's unknown.
You can't just move it to the 3rd for no reason at all.
Because they don't want the people to be there.
But you gotta have a legitimate reason for it. Okay, so you're saying if you move it to the 3rd, the people that were going to come on the 6th knows about it, and they're gonna show up on the 3rd.
No, I'm just saying move the day. I just picked the 3rd. Just move the day, not on the 6th.
You can't just do this stuff, though. You can't. You gotta have security. Hold on. You gotta have major security, and they're certainly going to have major security for an inauguration this time. There's too much going. There's too many moving parts to just up and move that 3 days ahead. I mean, whether they got the National Guard, the feds, whoever's protecting the grounds, you can't just move it up 3 days ahead like that.
Okay, let's just say they do it on the 6th. Let's just say they keep it on the 6th.
Okay, they're going to keep it. Right, let's go with that.
Just keep it on the 6th.
All right.
Okay, so they go to disqualify him. Okay, now here's where the DOD comes into, the DOD 5240.01 comes into play. Because you know they passed that. It went in, they added it to the thing on September the 27th.
Okay.
But it was just like totally passed like 2 weeks ago to where they can literally use lethal force on civilians. Correct?
I heard about it.
You heard about it, right?
I did hear about
we're on
that.
the same page, right?
I heard about it.
Okay, that's
I don't know if we're in the same book right now, but I'll open up my I don't have you got a Trump Bible. I'm turning to the same passage, but your Bible is written different, but keep going.
I ain't got no Trump Bible, believe that. I ain't got no Trump merchandise.
All right, but okay, we gonna make it through it. Keep going.
So DOD 5240.01. You can look that up.
5240.01. What's in there?
It's on the DOD. Section 3. I believe it's 2C.
Okay, Texas, where'd you get this information from?
Huh?
Who told you about this particular spot on the Department of Defense's? I mean, who told you about this? I'm sure you don't just go around reading their manuals. Where did you get this from?
I heard this and then I went and looked it up.
Heard it where?
That's the reason why I know.
Heard it where?
I went to DOD objectives.
You didn't hear this from the Department of Defense. Who told you about it so that you went to the Department of Defense?
I heard some people talking about it.
Just people.
Yeah, because I listen to a lot of politics stuff.
So do I.
Listen to both sides.
Okay.
Because I'm Democrat.
You're what?
I was Democrat until 2016.
Okay.
I didn't told you this. Remember?
Yeah, okay. I thought you meant you were a modern day Democrat. Okay, you haven't been Democrat in almost 10 years. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay. So I listen to both sides. Like I said, there's some stuff that Harris has, like I would be okay with medical for all U.S. citizens. I would be okay with that.
Universal health care.
Yeah, universal health care. I'd be okay with that because my deductible is $6,500 per person. And I pay almost $600 a month. Plus I have to pay my co-pays and all of that. Yeah, so I would be okay with universal health care for all American citizens.
Right.
Which would be fair. Because you go into another
America does, like I said, America's a selfish country. They don't understand it until they actually go through it. My guess is if I was talking to you 20 years ago before you were paying $600 a month for it, you might have had a difference of opinion. That's what it is. Once people start going through it, they're like, well, shit, this program actually makes sense. But like when Obama tried to pass universal health care, all of these 20 and 30-somethings that are healthy, haven't been going to the doctor. Why should I have to pay for this? I'm not using it. Like, motherfucker, you could get hit by a bus and you need this tomorrow because you were healthy today. It's not there for you. So, yeah, you need it. So you understand it now. But, yeah, when he tried to pass Obamacare, the young ones were not in favor of it.
Well, no, even when Trump was in office, my deductible was only $3,000. So it's doubled since different presidents.
Fair enough.
So when Trump was in there, my deductible was $3,000. Now it's $6,500.
Wow.
Yeah. So see, so it's big change for me.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we pay it every month. That ain't no big deal.
But I get all of that. And healthcare sucks in this country. It should be just like dialing 911. You should be able to go to the hospital and just get treated. You can dial 911, and it doesn't matter if the cops are helping you get a cat out of a tree or if they have to shoot 5 or 6 people in your defense. They will do it without charging you a bill. They should be able to do healthcare the same way. Cops get paid a decent salary and they're not going broke. So I don't know why they keep saying if you give people free healthcare, the doctors ain't going to be. They're making it work on all these other damn levels. But you mentioned this Department of Defense.
Yes.
I'm
40.01.
Yeah, I'm curious to know where you got this from, though.
It's from their book.
No. I'm curious.
All you do is read it.
Okay.
So what it says is that it's actually a place where they can have the military step in to help the law enforcement in case of civil unrest, which gives them legal authority to have lethal force on citizens. And the reason I started looking this up is because at one of Kamala's rallies, she was saying that's what Trump was doing, when in all actuality, she was behind the scenes. And I think I've talked to you about this.
Yeah, but let me interrupt. Let me interrupt to say this because I see somebody in the comments on Alicia W on YouTube is also confirming what you're saying is true. Here's what I don't understand. Why hasn't this ever, this should have always been true. If you let's say you got David Koresh out of Waco, Texas. His compound of very well-armed, whatever you want to call his members of his compound. There was about 80 people in there. And they were well-armed. They had 50 cows in there. If they're roaming around and the local city police cannot handle them and they have to call in the National Guard, why shouldn't they have the ability to use lethal force? They're citizens of the country, but they're killing people. If we call for, remember the whole claim that Nancy Pelosi was supposed to provide the National Guard on January 6th. What are we saying? The National Guard could have shown up, but if people are acting in a manner that's lethal, the National Guard would have to stand down because they're American citizens. I would assume they've always had the power to take out an American. If you're doing things that are violent, they got to take you out. So I don't see where the shock is in this.
But this is also going with her to ban the freedom of speech and stuff, to censor it. This is also part of that.
How's she going to do that?
Because you don't, for the right of assembly.
You're saying that Kamala Harris is trying to ban people from being able to Is this in regards to only January 6th, or is this something she's trying to do her whole administration? Because January 6th went really wrong last time.
This is what is going to wind up happening, because they have already now got this law into effect. So if there is a protest or anything, they will have the right to have martial law. So this is why I'm stating that we all need to be careful as being constituents, because they're supposed to be working for us, but they're working for themselves. And it doesn't matter if it's Kamala in office. It doesn't matter if it's Biden in office. It doesn't matter if it's Trump in office.
I think it does matter, because I'll tell you this.
This is now a law.
I'll tell you this.
Is now in the books.
And,
so it's going to be for whatever official. So let's just say all of this occurs, okay? And people try to go to protests, which we have the right to do.
Mm-hmm.
But now with this martial law in effect, and they disqualified Trump, will that not be, and they put in whatever president they want, they're just using Kamala as a coup?
Here's the problem I have with all of this. First of all, the whole January 6th, the one that happened in 2021, was all about stopping the steal.
Right.
In my opinion, considering that the election is held in early November, first Tuesday of November, and January 6th is only 2 months and a couple of days after the election, there was no reason in hell for them people to be there on January 6th talking about the election is stolen. They didn't have any evidence. They were still investigating the damn election. Attorney General Barr, who was Trump's top cop, was still investigating some of the claims that Trump made. For them folks to be there that quick after the election, all talking about is being stolen, they didn't have anything to go on other than what they were being told, such as the million voting machines were switching votes from Biden to Trump. They didn't have any true evidence. So I can understand why they're trying to get ahead of it, because at the end of the day, the possibility of Trump giving out bad information, like the million voting machines, for instance, there's a possibility of it. Now, I'm 100% for free speech, and the right to assemble is what you're talking about. But if somebody is knowingly telling people bad stuff, and I'll give you a perfect example. The riots, the Black Lives Matter riots that took place in Ferguson, Missouri. I was there a couple of days after. The police and the evidence ruled that killing was justified. So they went there and burned that whole damn town down on something that was justified. I guarantee that if they were trying to pass a law to prevent them from just willy-nilly assembling again in Ferguson, the same folks that are criticizing this would be in favor of it. They're against this because they know this might affect MAGA protesting Trump, something Trump has said. I don't think Kamala Harris is going to be trying to limit free speech going forward. What you're talking about is strictly to prevent January 6th from happening again, where a bunch of people show up to protest something that they've been told that they don't have any solid evidence then, and then a lot of them don't even have any solid evidence now. But that 2 months, 2 days after the election, there was no proof that anything was being stolen. They were going by what they were told. You don't see that?
I'm not a MAGA.
But do you see that close to the 2020 election, them showing up and acting like that? What is it based on?
It's wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah. And why were they there thinking that election was stolen, considering they personally had no evidence of it? Why were they there doing that?
I wasn't there.
No, but you know why they were there.
Oh, well, yeah.
Because Trump told them.
Trump told them to be there.
Right. So they were acting. I don't want to refer to.
All Republicans or to that effect.
I'm talking about January 6th, though. And I don't want to refer to anybody as sheep, but if you're out here protesting something that you're being told and you have no evidence at all that this is real, you're kind of just going along to get along. I mean, they still don't have any solid evidence that Biden or the Democrats was trying to steal that election. When you ask them, well, this didn't look right and that didn't look right, that don't mean somebody's trying to steal the election, though. They still don't have any evidence of that.
And it don't look right with those little mailboxes getting.
Then show up and protest. Things don't look right. You can't, if I see something that doesn't look right, that don't mean I can automatically assume I won by a landslide and the Democrats took it. So to some degree, what Trump was doing was also election fraud. There's no reason why you should be saying you won by a landslide. You don't have evidence of that. I don't care how many things you point out that don't look right. You were leading before people went to sleep. Now all of a sudden you're losing when they wake up. That don't mean that Biden is still in the election. He made all of these assumptions that he won by a landslide, and it's all just based on what that didn't look right. So I'm just going to take credit that I won. What he did was just as bad as what he was complaining about.
That is true. But, like, let's just like the ones following Harris now. They're over here calling this one. Trump's people are calling this one. It's always going to be like that when it comes to elections. You have the president, the residing president as of now. The last year that they're in office, they're going to try to go and scramble their asses to try to cover them for not doing nothing the first 3 years, to try to get votes, try to con people into getting votes because, oh, now look what I've done. But you've had all these years to do it and you didn't do nothing.
Okay, well,
we're in all of these wars, and that's every president.
Yeah, and that's fine, though. That's typical. But that's fine. That's typical politics, suggesting that you did a bunch of shit that you didn't do to make yourself look better. But getting up there and saying your opponent actively stole an election from you with no solid evidence, that ain't something that most politicians do. And then hold a protest the day where we're exchanging power in an effort to prevent a smooth transition from power. Hell, even Hillary Clinton, who claimed that the Russians helped Trump, she didn't do something like hold a protest the day of the transition. I mean, and not to mention he's continued going on since that, saying he won by a landslide. He don't have any evidence of that. That is fraud to be doing that.
Every which way, for both sides.
All right, well.
So like I told you, I'm not MAGA. I was Democrat until 2016, until all this stuff with Hillary, because I voted for Hillary in the primary.
Right. Well, but yeah, I get your point. Yeah, but the only point I'm making is this Department of Defense stuff you're talking about. I understand them wanting to cross every T and dot every I, considering what happened on the last January 6th. You cannot just leave things the way they are so that this can possibly happen again. They got to prepare some way, somehow to make sure this doesn't happen again. Because Trump is entering this election saying it's stolen again.
But don't sit there and try to blame Trump for doing this when you're over here doing it behind the scenes.
I hear you, and I'm not disagreeing with you on that, but
what I'm saying is she's doing this behind the scenes, and she's not telling everybody that she's doing this. But she's over here sitting at the rally saying Trump is.
She's not doing it behind. No.
Do this, and she's doing it herself.
No, she's not doing it. She's the vice president. She doesn't have the power to do this stuff you're talking about. If Biden is doing it, you can blame it on Biden. If the head of the Department of Defense is doing it, you can blame. Kamala Harris is VP. She don't have the power to do this stuff.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If everybody knows Biden is not all there.
Gotta have proof. I know where you're going. Biden is not all there, so that ain't what I'm saying. But you got to have proof. You're saying that because Biden is not all there, and we've seen the election. You're right about that. He looked like he wasn't all there. But you're saying because he's not there, you can automatically fill in the blank with Kamala Harris. Maybe somebody else is running it. You got to have proof it's Kamala Harris doing it. You don't have that evidence.
But when he was having his surgery and stuff, Kamala was president.
He's not having surgery anymore, though. I mean, you got evidence that
when he was there, when he was having surgery, she was president.
Do you have any evidence that this Department of Defense stuff happened during that period?
On what, this?
You're saying that you're blaming this.
This happened on the 27th of this year.
All right, so Kamala Harris has So Kamala Harris has nothing to do with it then.
But they're both sat there and said that she's the last one out of the office whenever there's a decision made.
She could be just turning the damn light out. That don't mean she's signing legislation. You can't just jump and make that leap. And since when do we believe Kamala Harris? Now all of a sudden she says she's the last one out of the office, and we suddenly believe her now. But if she says she can turn the country around, we don't believe that. Are we picking and choosing when to believe her?
No,
right.
No.
That's what it says.
But she's over here saying that she's going to turn the page. She's turning the page, but she wouldn't do anything different than what Biden has done. So what page is she turning? Is she turning her own page?
How do you know she wouldn't do anything different than Biden has done?
She sat there and said she wouldn't do anything different that Biden has done.
So you do find Kamala Harris to be a trustworthy person?
No.
Then why do you believe what she said?
Because she's saying it on all of her rallies.
But she's not trustworthy. She could be lying at every rally.
Okay, so everything she's standing for is a lie?
That's what I'm saying. You don't believe she's trustworthy, so that means she's a liar, or you're picking and choosing when you believe her when it fits the narrative. That's what it sounds like you're doing. If she says something that favors your side, well, she's telling the truth there. But if she says something that sounds good, like I'm gonna get women their rights back, and I'm gonna she's lying about all of that. It sounds like you're picking and choosing when to believe her.
Roe v. Wade.
Huh?
She can't overturn Roe v. Wade.
She can, if Roe v. Wade gets overturned, you say she can't do it. Whoever can do it, it's got to go through her. It's not going to happen through Trump. If the goal is to overturn Roe v. Wade, it starts with electing Kamala Harris. Would you not agree with that?
Yes. When she gets into office, it will start with her.
All right.
But she'll have to have the House and she'll have to have the Senate because the Supreme Court, the judicial system has already said that this is what it's going to be and went back to the states.
But you admitted it starts with her. To get the process done that you said has to happen, it starts first with electing her. If you do not elect her, the rest of that process, it's like starting your car. I don't care what's going on in the engine. If you don't put gas in it, it's not going to start. She is the fuel to make it work.
It will start with her, but you have to have the House and the Senate on your side to even be able to think about trying to overturn Roe.
Right. So you elect her, and if she doesn't have the House or Senate this time, perhaps in the midterms in 2026, she can make that happen. But it starts by electing her.
If she can get it through House and Senate.
She can't get it through House and Senate if Trump is in power. He ain't going to try to get it through House and Senate. So the only way it happens is to first elect her. We can talk about all kinds of other things. We can create a whole flow chart. But at the beginning of it, is Kamala Harris is elected, yes, there's all this other shit. If Kamala Harris is not elected, the flow chart ends. It says, no, you will not get this right. It is as simple as that. All of that other stuff does not happen if you elect Trump.
Correct.
All right, that's all we know. That's all we need to know. I got to move it on, Texas. Appreciate you coming through, though. All right, moving on with the program. What are Trump's policies? Melanated King says, Tim, you are a great Trump ad. Wow. I would be a good advertisement for President Trump. All right, sign me up. I don't know if Trump would like it, but come. And I see Lonnie says bullshit. Tap the screen, get the likes up to about 85,000. I think we can make maybe. Tap the screen, they'll get the likes up. I never heard her say she would continue Biden's agenda. She did say that, Arletha. She was on The View, and I was watching it live. Sonny Hostin asked her, what would she do differently from President Biden if she's elected? And she said, I can't really think of anything. She did say that. I wish she did not. She did say that, though. We'll take that as you don't know. Alan Quinn. The next president could possibly get a Supreme Court justice pick or two due to the age of the oldest justices. Johnny Robinson. In regards to the Supreme Court, currently 6-3 majority in favor of the Republicans. The next president, you're right, the next president could get a Supreme Court pick or two. I think that number changes significantly depending on who becomes president. If Trump is elected president, I've brought this up many times, Justice Clarence Thomas, 75 years old. I think Roberts is the next one. Is it Roberts or Alito? The one who flies the damn flag upside down in his house. He's 74. Both of those justices are strong Trump supporters. If Trump gets elected, you can be assured that Clarence Thomas and Alito, it's Alito, Clarence Thomas and Alito will step down. There'll be martyrs in the Republican Party. We know Clarence Thomas like gifts. Won't be any difficulty at all for Trump to convince 75-year-old Clarence Thomas and 74-year-old Alito step down so I can put in some justices that are probably, in their late 40s, early 50s. So I can keep it at a 6-3 majority for the next 25, 30 years. But in addition to replacing Clarence Thomas and Alito, Sotomayor and Roberts are also 69 years old. I believe Sotomayor has had some health issues. Now she's Democrat. I think she was appointed by Obama. Sotomayor and Thomas, who's a Republican, I think he was appointed by Bush. They're both 69. Everybody don't live to 80. So it's possible that Trump could replace one or both of them. But let's not even go to Sotomayor and Thomas or Sotomayor and Roberts. Let's stick with Alito and Thomas, who is almost a certainty Trump will replace. If he replaces Thomas and Alito, he will be the first president in U.S. history to say 5 of the 9 justices were picked by me. Now, we can say whatever the hell we want on the right or left, but let's face it, it doesn't matter what president does that. The other side is going to think that that president has a ridiculously unfair advantage. Now, the right in defense of Trump is going to say, well, no, all 5 of those justices he picked will be fair and impartial, knowing damn well they wouldn't feel that way if Obama, Hillary Clinton, or Kamala Harris appointed 5 of the 9 justices personally. My opinion is there should be a law to prevent that from happening. One dude should not be able to appoint more than half the Supreme Court if you expect the Supreme Court to be fair and unbalanced with some of his decisions. I mean, that's it. That's it if he gets 5. And like I said, he could end up replacing Roberts and Sotomayor. It could actually, now this is stretching it some, but he could actually end up being responsible for replacing 7 of them. 5 is guaranteed. He has 3 already, and he will certainly get Clarence Thomas and Alito. So he would be one president, one dude that's responsible for 5 picks. And all of them going to be around probably for at least another 15 to 30 years. This is what I tell some of my folks on the left. We like to talk to both sides, but you're not voting for $2 gas and a good economy. Good economies come and go. I'll tell you this, 10 years from now, ain't nobody talking shit about Trump's economy. That will be old news. Nobody really talks about Bill Clinton's economy anymore. That stuff's old news. You'll be still dealing with those Supreme Court justices. You'll still be dealing with them. 15, 30 years from now, you'll still be dealing with them. So you're voting for a lot more than what people think. This economy, that's all battle shit. The Supreme Court is more war stuff. So you could end up getting what you want in terms of winning the battle. Got Trump back, economy's great, the LGBT shit is not going awry, whatever you favor for Trump if you lean left, because a lot of Democrats are voting for Trump for some of those issues. I think he's better with the economy, he's better with securing the border. Maybe I don't want the transgender to be out. This is what some Democrats are voting for Trump for. I personally don't believe they're focused on the fact that you could be giving him 5 to 7 Supreme Court picks that'll go well into your child's life for that $2 gas. I do believe that's something that they should take into consideration. This is what some folks say. Some voters are not educated. I see in the comments, Bake Boss says the economy is number one. Yeah, but like I said, the economy comes and goes. I mean, think about the last 10 years, we've had the Biden economy, which people think sucks. We've had the Trump economy, where people think it was great. And then we had the ending 2 years of the Obama economy, which people think was great. I mean, the economy's been all over the damn place in only 10 years. These Supreme Court picks, 15 to 30 years they could be riding with you. And the laws they make at that biased of a Supreme Court with that many right-wing, you're going to have a far-right America. You're going to have a far-right America. Now, if you favor a far-right America, then Trump's doing a great job. If you don't, it's something you should take in consideration. I believe you should. Sleeper Anesthesia says World War III a lifetime. I get the counterpoint. You're saying if you put Kamala Harris in there, we're going to have World War III. I'll leave that up to the individual. My take on it is this. At the end of the day, the same Joint Chiefs of Staff, most of the military will be the same whether Trump wins or Kamala wins. We'll still have the same weapons and all of that. America has well over 2,000 nuclear weapons. We don't even want to fuck with North Korea because they got a handful. Nobody, you're not going to see World War III break out. I don't believe that. I mean, no matter how incompetent you might feel Kamala Harris is, if one thing you can be certain of with Kamala or if the generals come to Kamala Harris and say, look, we believe Russia's organizing and doing this, and this is how we should respond, or we believe Israel is doing this and they're dealing with the Palestinians or Hamas or Hezbollah or Yemen, and I think we should, perform some type of direct precision strike here, she's going to go with it. She's going to go with what the brass in the military tells her. So I don't know why people think that we're going to have a war. We're going to have World War III and all. She's not going to make the decisions on her own. She's no military-minded woman. Neither was Trump. Neither one of them has served in the military. She's going to go with the strategist. I don't see that happening. I hear folks saying that, but look, they said when Obama was president, they weren't going to respect us under Obama either. Folks said, a black guy, nobody's going to respect him. He's a community organizer. He did all right. We didn't come close to having World War III under Obama. So I don't know if I buy into this whole thing about, you're suggesting that Biden has dementia, and I don't see where World War III is developing even under him. Going back to the box, Dencal. Good afternoon, rather. I'm saying good evening all the time. Good afternoon, Dencal. World War III. You think Kamala Harris is going to lead the planet down the road of self-destruction?
Man, that's nothing but scare tactics, man. That's nothing but scare tactics. You can look around the world right now and people complain about, the world's on fire, everything. We're just, we're one step from World War III. They don't understand the military. They don't understand. They don't understand the scope of what that means. World War III. Yes, we got what I would consider a skirmish in Israel because the Palestinians don't have nothing but rocks. I think Ukraine is a bad situation, but we already know Vladimir Putin. He ain't about that life. He ain't trying to do that. He talk a good game, but every time Ukraine does something he said was a red line, he doesn't do anything. He's over here bringing in North Korea. Do you think Putin is ready for World War III? No.
Right. That's a good point.
China is sitting back.
Go ahead.
China is sitting back because they don't want no smoke. America is their biggest trading partner. They need us.
Yeah, that's a good.
Fight us for what?
That's a good point. If we're talking about World War III, we know Russia fighting the Ukraine for the last 2.5 years. They're diminished. There's no way in hell Russia wants World War III right now when they're already importing North Korean soldiers because they're running out of their own. They're not in position to invite World War III.
Right. Yeah. If he was, he might be. What I like to say, I don't know if it's TikTok friendly, but I think he might be homicidal, but not suicidal.
You talking about
he doesn't want to die.
You talking about Putin?
Yeah, he doesn't want to die. He'll take out whoever his opposition in his own country and all of that stuff. But he doesn't. He's not he's not down for mutual destruction.
Right. Yeah, I don't buy that. He would have a lot of back. I mean, I think he heard he was having some backlash in his own country, but it would get worse. I mean, it's not not like there are not world leaders like Gaddafi, for instance, where you go so wild or radical that your own people take you out. I think it happened to Mussolini too. I mean, you start taking out you put your people in such a grave detriment where they're getting killed because of your bad decision. Your own people will take you out in some of those situations.
Right, and I believe Putin is not far off, because what he said not at the beginning, because he told his people at the beginning it would be a couple of weeks, and,
right?
This special military operation would be done and over with. Then he said, if they do anything inside of our international borders, then we're not going to tolerate that. We have to look at the nuclear option and stuff. Like every step of the way, he been talking. But he ain't been doing. So I don't understand why people keep on drumming up this somebody getting ready to stand toe-to-toe with the United States. It ain't about to happen. We spend $1 trillion a year on military, which is like the top 23 countries.
It's like when you look at, if you drew a bar graph and you had on there the top 10 most powerful countries, like you're talking about, obviously the United States would be to the far left of the graph, and then it would be China and Russia. The graph representing the United States is so much higher. It would be like putting the international, like the Empire State Building next to a house. I mean, that's how much more money we spend. It would our bar graph would be like the Empire State Building, and the next person would be like a damn house.
And then they showed China was last week talking about their new show of force, and they had a battle group with 2 of those rinky-dink little carriers they got over there, and it's like we got like 10. That's like 10 times more advanced than those little shoops that they got over there. Like people confuse China because they got a million troops strong.
Right. Well, we do too. We just don't count all of these gun-toting Americans that are walking around Texas. I mean, we got 1 million troops. If something kick off, there's a lot more troops that are going to pop up. People already got guns. They just need to be wearing the uniform. There's a lot of troops in this country. They know that.
Yeah, but they, that's not gonna happen. That's why it's an ingenuous, uningenuous conversation to be talking about. If she gets in, it'll be a war. But if he gets in, he's gonna create world peace. Like that's.
My opinion is, if Trump gets in, you might see some peace that comes with chaos. And what I mean is, if Trump gets in, okay, he gives the Ukraine to Russia, so that war ends pretty damn quickly. He lets Netanyahu do whatever he needs to do in the Middle East with our help, so that war ends pretty quickly. But what starts happening, you end the war, but the chaos comes from a lot of our allies now starting to say either we need to create some kind of alliance outside of the United States because they got a madman in charge, because a lot of us fear that Russia may come after us next, and we can no longer depend on the United States to support us. So maybe we need our own. So he would stop some of the wars going on now, but among our allies, he would create chaos. I think some of them folks will start, because France doesn't favor what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing. Some of our allies are starting to have weapons embargoes with Israel. They believe they're going too far. Trump would be on the other side of that. So now some of our allies are like, well, maybe we need to rethink our relationship with America. So in the war, we create chaos.
They're already doing it. They've already rethought their relationships. Not they're going to think. They was doing that back when he was in power. They understood that he would sell them up the river, for his America First policy. Even though they know he's transactional, but there's like nothing that they could really give him. He's transactional with people like our enemies.
Yeah, I don't.
He wants to get something from
Yeah,
them.
I don't get how you could be friends or be friendly to somebody. I mean, because right now we know America's big brother, and we do protect a lot of other nations. But if all of a sudden we get a leader in there that's saying we only gonna be focused only on America, then there's no benefit to be allied with us. I mean, because that's what he's saying. We're not going to do what we used to do in NATO. We're not going to protect you anymore. We're only going to be focused on protecting us. Then, well, shit, why should we continue bowing down to the United States? They just removed the primary incentive why we used to let them do that.
Right. And, what would be the incentive for our former allies if he goes this America First route? What would be their incentive not to join up with BRICS and try to create another currency to get America out of the petrodollar? Why not?
Yeah.
Once they get us out the petrodollar, we toast.
Yeah. I don't think that our alliances are secure. Just because he is more favorable to the folks we are not allied with, and I gotta assume some of our allies would not like that. I mean, a lot of them folks that we are allies with believe Russia's a threat to the planet, and all of a sudden the United States start teaming up with them. It kind of looks like we're forming our own version of the axis of evil, or the Axis powers back in World War II.
Right, and the premise is that somehow if Trump makes some deal with these people that now we can trust them. Like their only goal in life is to dethrone America as the sole superpower. Everybody. So it doesn't matter what, like, they're going to do stuff and, amuse Trump and tell him how he's a great leader and stuff like that. But it's only to try to get some concession from him, to get those embargoes stopped and, get those, any type of, laws against them. So he can drop him, because that's what he was trying to do with Putin. Putin was trying to get him to relieve those sanctions against his country.
I think that if Trump becomes president, Putin might get that wish. Real quick, guess what on YouTube says, people say Trump's economy was Obama's. Then tout the current economy as Biden's. That would mean it is Trump's economy, not Biden's. He's talking about the notion that the previous president gets blamed for the current economy. So do you see this current economy as being the economy of Trump? I think
this current economy is an outlier because
the
of
pandemic.
recovery from COVID.
The pandemic, yeah.
So those first 2 years, I would say, yes, that was Trump's economy. When we had, in 2022, when everything went haywire from our supply chains and the oil, the oil reduction that Trump worked out with Saudi Arabia, that stuff contributed to the 9 point whatever inflation and all of that stuff. So yes, those first 2 years I would say are Trump. These last 2 years, whether people like it or not, we can look at all of the metrics. People always want to focus on the main one, which I can kind of understand because it's our daily lives. But all of the metrics of a good economy are in place. GDP, stock market, the housing prices, all of those things show a good economy. But yeah. I get it, because when the people go to the grocery store, if your eggs cost a little bit more, or your beef costs a little bit more, that's all they're going to look at. But that's not everything that goes into to an economy. And so these last 2 years, after he got the Inflation Reduction Act passed, and people say, well, it didn't. Well, we went from 9% inflation to now at 2.1. So you could say what you want to.
Yeah, all of the metrics, all of the economic analysts do say the economy is doing significantly better than the right is portraying it, because Trump is portraying it as a disaster. And like one of my viewers said earlier in the show, how are they buying all this Trump merchandise while they're at the rallies talking about how bad they're doing? You're buying all these optional items like shirts and hats and shoes and Bibles and shit, but you claim you're struggling. It doesn't measure up. I mean, Trump's business, MAGA merchandise, probably got to be one of the most successful businesses out there, because you got to think he had 74 million supporters in the last election, and you got to assume at least 2/3 of them own MAGA hats. I don't know what 2/3 of 74 million is, but them hats are between 10 and 20 bucks a piece. Many people like myself got multiple ones. That business is huge. That one business, just MAGA merchandise. That business is huge.
And guess where that money is going to? It's going to China because they produce probably 80% of that merch.
Well,
it's going to China.
Well, you're not buying a hat from. No, you're not buying a hat. It's like buying a pair of Levi's. You're not buying the Levi's from China. You're buying them from Levi's. They're having them made in China. Those hats are coming from him. They just are made in China so he can sell them for a greater profit. But that money's going to him, not China. You think Trump would? You think Trump would let his hats, all the proceeds be going to China? He would stop that quick. You would know about. He would be telling you buy hats specifically from this site because if you don't, the money's going to China. He would stop that real quick.
No, I'm just saying, when you have this big of an industry selling this merch,
right,
and you source in China for all the stuff, they getting their money.
Yeah, they
are getting paid off of it.
Yeah, I mean he's having them made cheaper there so that he paid their labor laws, then he would have to pay an American to make them. I agree with you on that, but the majority of the money for them hats is going to Trump. I mean, if he had them made in America as opposed to China, then a larger percentage of that cost of that hat would go to U.S. employees because the labor costs would be higher. So yeah, some money is going to China. Shit, it might be 10 cents per hat or something ridiculous, but most of it is going to him.
Right. I'm not talking about the lion's share or not. I'm saying China sells these merch for a certain price, and we're paying for it. Regardless if it's low from our perspective, they are benefiting from it. And that's hard to understand why somebody who keeps badgering us with America first is choosing profit first for everything he's selling them. Bibles, hats, watches, none of that is sourced from America. Nothing.
No. Well, I was told he's a good businessman, and apparently having your labor costs from China saves a ton of money than from America, and that's part of being a good businessman, apparently, in modern-day America. In the comments, Yale Fonts, thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Yale Fonts says, no votes for Joe to Ho. So, in other words, I've heard no votes for, what do they say, Joe and the Ho or something like that, but why are they calling this woman a hoe?
I have no idea. I mean, obviously it's something that's been said about her past 40 years ago when she was dating somebody. You know, if the hypocrisy for me.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say that.
And watch their guy imitate jacking off and sucking a dick has no effect on them. But what she did 40 years ago somehow is the front of their mind about what their character is like. She's a hoe, then what is he?
I mean, the guy, that's I mean, we know, if I had to guess, I think there's a high likelihood that Trump has more sex partners in his past than Kamala Harris. I mean, he's hanging around the Playboy Mansion. He's on video. I mean, he got photos with both Epstein and Puffy. So I don't know what statue. I mean, like, really, Kamala Harris is the hoe, and Trump, what is he, a priest? I don't get it.
Did you hear the recording from Epstein?
No.
Yeah, they got a recording out where he's talking about Trump, saying they've been the best of friends, and talking about him and the women that they done conquered together and how they set up.
I've had some.
Wives.
I know what enjoying a good piece of ass is like, but I never said I conquered a broad. Damn, what is that? You conquered it? What you said it?
He says he was talking about how Trump would set up women of his friends. Like if he had a friend and he wanted to screw his wife, he would set her up and get her in a situation where he would be able to have sex with her. Like it's all documented stuff about him and Epstein, but they will ignore everything.
I haven't heard that. I want to hear that one. Yeah. All right, I gotta look that way. Yeah, if you get it, send it to me. I gotta move it on though. I'm curious to hear what that sounds like, but thank you, Dencal. Appreciate it.
All right, just one more quick thing. I just wanted to say to Texas Mom, regardless of what you've done to make yourself believe whatever it is you believe, you are the worst kind of MAGA.
She is MAGA to the core. I don't care if she voted for somebody that was a Democrat before. When you can fix your mouth to defend anything this man has done, you are completely brainwashed.
I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Denko.
All right.
All right, moving on to the program. Here's an interesting way of using the name Kamala, the acronyms of it. Kamala. V4, I'll leave it at that. V4, P3 Cloud or something. He took the letters Kamala. Knowledgeable America, make America love again. Kamala. Knowledgeable. So I guess some of America is not knowledgeable, but knowledgeable America should be knowledgeable Americans making America love again. That's what you want to say. Knowledgeable Americans making America love again. But you got knowledgeable America, make America love again. I get it. All right. America ain't never been about no love. Richard says America ain't never been about no love. Came right behind that. All right. Looking in the comments. What about defending her? Valinda Smith. One thing I got to say this. Shout out to you, Valinda, and many of my female MAGA, because everybody said the liberals are going to get the women. I'm amazed at how many women I get on the program that are Republicans and are MAGA. I don't know. Is Kamala really going to get the women's vote? I get a lot of female MAGA. Get a lot of female Republicans. A lot of females that have the moniker, I'm not with her. You've seen that on social media. Democrats got this picture. Kamala says, I'm with her. A lot of Republicans, females, I'm not with her. I don't know. Pick me girls are MAGA. What is a pick me girl? I think I kind of know what you're talking about there. Trump's greasy nuzzy. Somebody asked me a question I wanted to respond to earlier. I cannot remember what it was, though. It was a question about something about, I can't remember it. I certainly wanted to answer, but I was giving my last caller his due diligence. Good luck to everyone. I love my country and will not allow a fascist to take over. Says Michael Rowe. Will not allow a fascist to take over your country, which is going to lead to the obvious question. Who you voting for? Which one do you, because they're saying that Kamala's a fascist and they're saying that Trump is one. So who you voting for? Thanks for the opinion on the change. I like it. Knowledgeable Americans making America love again. Yep. Trump has about 36 to 40% of the female votes. That's a fairly large deficit, though. Even though, because the women, I think women represent 53% of the electorate. There are more women voters than men. So not getting past 40%, giving Kamala Harris apparently as much as a 64% advantage based on your numbers, Karen Harris. If Kamala Harris is getting 64% of women and Trump's only getting 36%, if the women actually show up to vote, I don't see how he could beat her. Now, she got a serious deficit with male voters, though. But I think the male voter deficit that Kamala Harris has is not as great as the female voter deficit that Trump has. I do believe that. Make me king, says another lie. Going back to the box, you should be in the box, make me king. I'd like to hear what that lie is. Going on with the program, though. I don't know what I'm looking at there. Oops, I just hit something there by mistake. Continuing on, though, one of my viewers says, Eric, did I say Eric America? We will come out November for Harris, says Lolo. By the way, yes or no in the comments. Why or in? By the way, before I go to you, Eric, by way of yes or no in the comments, how many of you have voted already? Yes or no in the comments. I'd be curious. How many of you have already voted? Eric, good afternoon. Eric, are you there? All right. Apparently, Eric has stepped away. We'll continue on with the program. Not yet. Looks like a lot of folks have already voted. I'm just looking in here. Tashi says, I'll be there November 5th. Correction, The View asked about the last 4 years. The View asked, what will she do? Well, the last 4 years is Biden. Moogly says, what happened to the Tuxedo Cat? I haven't seen him on there in a while. I've seen him in a couple other lives. Maybe my live is not as progressive as Moo would like. I don't know, but I've seen him occasionally. I don't know if he's on as much, Moogly. No, she wants to also continue it forward. She said that. Okay, I voted for Trump, says Wilfredo. Good luck. You'll know in, well, I don't know if you'll know in 48 hours or not, because there's going to be legal challenges no matter who wins. I do believe that. We talk about the 2020 election being stolen. I don't see any evidence of that, but I'm not for certain, considering what is on the line this time, that the Democrats would just say, okay, you beat us. I don't, I think that they might try something. Certainly with Biden in power now. I mean, with all of the elite members of society, Trump is pissed off. I'm not confident that if he wins, the Democrats will say, okay, all right, fair game, you're president. I don't feel it. Now, I do believe President Trump completely lied about the 2020 election. I believe not only I believe he knows for a fact he lost, but he has an ego and he's not going to say it. He has an ego and he would never admit he lost to Biden. But this election here, because he has immunity, what the Supreme Court is on, what we have at stake with the Supreme Court, he's talking about, at the very least, flirting with punishing very well-known people like General Milley and Liz Cheney and all that. I guess if you're on the right, you're going to say all that shit's taken out of context, whatever. But I do believe, because of all of the people he's threatening, talking about taking a broadcasting license of CBS and all of this stuff, it wouldn't surprise me this time if for some reason Trump won, the powers that be tried to stop it. Maybe the folks that have delayed his sentence in New York. All right, let's see if he wins. Then we're going to throw his ass in jail. I mean, I don't know. I'm just simply saying it would not surprise me if for some reason, if he won, stuff started happening that were not favorable to Trump. I would not, because he's threatening too many people. I mean, he's threatening to upset the balance of too many people. I mean, in addition to threatening to upset the balance of too many people, he's threatening to be pro-Russia, which I don't know what that would do to the world. All of the oligarchs that have had, billions of dollars seized, billions of dollars, yachts and assets seized. I suppose if Trump becomes president and he is favorable to Putin in Russia, they would get all their shit back. I mean, for all we know, they may remove Putin's name from the Interpol list as a war criminal. Just totally restore Putin's life back to normal, which our allies would be pissed the fuck off by. It would not surprise me if Trump won, if the powers that be tried to prevent him from becoming president. There's just too many folks that are in fear of their lives that are up in the upper echelons of power. Nancy Pelosi, all them folks, Hillary Clinton. I mean, he literally has indicated that he may go after any and everybody in D.C., the who's who, all the way down the list. You got Steve Bannon out there that has admitted that they would go after Fauci. He said, he mentioned Milley. He mentioned Comey, of the former head of the FBI. Mueller is on that list. Mueller, who had the whole Russian collusion investigation. All of these are very powerful people. Head of the FBI. Wouldn't surprise me if he won and they tried to stop him. So this time it might be something to what he said. But in 2020, I don't believe him. Looking in the comments, rather go through hardships we can overcome than World War III and America destruction because of open borders. You're not going to go through World War III because of open borders. That ain't the way it's going to happen. If for some reason I don't buy into the World War III thing. I really believe that's fear mongering. I don't think that Trump is so strong or Kamala Harris is so weak we're going to have World War III. I brought up earlier in the program that if Vladimir Putin decided to attack the Ukraine because he thought Biden was a weak leader, look at all what has happened since Putin has attacked the Ukraine. Biden's a weak leader, so now's the time to strike. Look what has happened. Look at how many dead Russians there are because they thought Biden was weak. How much equipment they've lost. They've also shown the world that they are somewhat of a paper tiger. How many people thought that the Russians would still be dealing with the Ukrainians 2.5 years later? So, the whole notion that World War III or that the Democrats are weak, I think Biden kind of proved that they're not as weak as you might suggest. I mean, they've gave Russia hell, and we haven't even put anybody on the ground yet. I mean, to think All Biden had to do was send in some of our older equipment. People keep talking about how much money is going to the Ukraine. We're not sending them cash money. We're sending them equipment that's worth money. And it's not even the top of the line shit. We're not sending them our best drones and UAVs. We're not sending them any significant aircraft. They don't have F-22s or F-35s. And yet they still are giving the Russians hell. Imagine if we actually stepped up the shit we sending them. They could end up attacking Moscow and occupying St. Petersburg. So the whole notion that Biden's a weak leader, that didn't go well for Russia at all. So I would assume that the whole World War III thing, what Kamala Harris said, well, I ain't going to do much different than Biden. I'm going to back them up too. I would rather have Trump if I was Russia. I would rather have Trump. Looking in the comments though, Ukrainians are fighting from the soul. Well, yeah, they're fighting for survival, for their very survival. If Ukrainians lose, they could be annexed and become part of Russia. They're fighting for their very existence. The U.S. Department of State is the primary body handling foreign policy, led by Secretary of State currently Anthony Blinken. The department advises the president. Yeah, and under Biden or Kamala Harris, you can expect them to listen. Under Trump, maybe if it's something favorable to Putin, he may not take the advice. So it's a difference. It's a difference. I don't see the World War III thing happening. I just do not see that. You aren't familiar with Project 2025, are you? Trump is on the side of large corporations, not on the union. Well, first of all, Katrina, I am familiar with Project 2025 and Agenda 47, by the way, which is 2025 light. But in addition to that, you say Trump is on the side of large corporations and not the unions. That ain't Trump. That's a Republican tenet. Republicans tend to be favorable to small business and big business. The Democrats tend to be favorable to the actual working man in the unions. That's not just Trump. That's Bush, Reagan, you name it. That's, the Republicans are not fans of unions and stuff like that. They're more fans of small business and big business. My state president endorsed Teamsters for Harris. State president. My state president. What is this? You mean your governor? Harris says she wouldn't have anything to do. She wouldn't do anything different. Not that she won't in the future. Yeah. All right. I'll leave it at that. Trump has promised to hand over Ukraine, while Putin has spent billions online to push misinformation. Well, you say Trump has promised to hand over Ukraine. He hasn't done that. Most folks are just attributing that's to believe what they believe he will do because he's so friendly to Putin and so anti-Ukraine. But he hasn't promised to hand over Ukraine. He promised to end the war. Many would suggest that's how he is going to end it, is by handing over to Ukraine. And yes, Putin is spending money to promote misinformation, and it's all favorable to Trump. Such as the Haitian migrant that's allegedly claiming to have voted many times, and they came out and admitted that's fake. Yeah, the Russians are in it. I mean, but I can't hate on the Russians. We do stuff like this. I know for a fact the Clintons were interfering with their election when Putin got elected. So, Liberal, did you hear that Tulsi Gabbard is now a Republican? She's been a Republican for months, if not a year or two. She's been a Fox News contributor for well over a year. Yeah, everybody's aware of Tulsi Gabbard switching parties. I don't think Tulsi switching party. I think you could have probably 50 Tulsis to equal one Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney was an actual somebody in the Republican Party. Tulsi Gabbard, the only thing she really is known for is she trounced Kamala Harris during the debate. Other than that, most people didn't even know who the hell she was. You talk about Kamala Harris not getting any votes. She didn't either. She ran for president. Nobody voted for her ass either. Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, she switched parties. It was to her benefit because she wasn't getting any love from the Democrats anyway. That's why they want little regulations that would prevent them from something out small business. You type something there, Alan. Ronald Archibald, he is not a virologist. He is okay, you're talking to somebody else. She announced being officially Republican last week. Well, you on Fox News trashing the Democratic Party, showing up to Trump rallies, speaking. Do you really need to announce you're a Republican Okay, she didn't officially announce she was. Okay, but you are. You clearly are one. She didn't announce it. All right, we'll give her credit for that. You think she would run in 2028? No. Tulsi Gabbard will not run for president in 2028. I don't know. I think Trump is going to, if Trump wins in 2024 and plays by the rules, he'll handpick somebody. It won't be her. It won't be her. I think the right would rather favor, the VP, J.D. Vance or Ron DeSantis clearly wants the job. Ted Cruz, not so much, but he clearly wants the job. I think the right would rather have any of them up there than Tulsi Gabbard. You talk about people not favoring a woman president. There's far more of them on the right than the left. Tulsi Gabbard's not going to get the gig. She's not going to get the gig. And I see somebody in the comments. Gen X says Vance 2028. Yeah, they would favor Vance any day over Tulsi Gabbard. They would favor Ron DeSantis over Tulsi Gabbard. I think they would even, talking about females, I think they would even favor Kristi Noem of South Dakota over Tulsi Gabbard. They would favor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the governor of Arkansas, over Tulsi. There's a lot of people that are in front of Tulsi Gabbard. I can come up with a bunch of them, women and men. Least democratic thing to happen is Kamala being handpicked. Not voted for by the people is the most fascist thing to date. Yo Font, appreciate the love. Thank you for the support, Yo Font. The problem is there were 4 candidates in 2020 that wanted to primary Trump. You never heard of them because the Republican Party stopped them from running as well. We keep talking about Kamala Harris. Did nobody vote for her? That happened with Trump. There were people that wanted to run against Trump, and the Republican Party there were states that just said, we're going to give our delegates to Trump. We're not even going to let the people in the state vote. But there were 4 of the Republicans that wanted to primary Trump. You don't hear about that. Now, in regards to Kamala Harris not being voted for by the people, and you're saying that that's the least most fascist thing to date, the reason I have an issue with it is this. I've said this numerous times. Everybody that's claiming that it was wrong to just give the gig to Kamala Harris and there should have been a vote, those people that are saying that would not vote for any liberal. You could have, Whitmer and Newsom and a whole host of liberals up there and actually have it for a real vote. Everybody that's saying it's fascist, that they didn't have it for, those people are likely going to vote for Trump. I don't think I've heard the claim that they should have had a vote before picking Kamala Harris. I don't think a single person that's ever told me that, and there's been a lot of them, would consider voting for any Democrat. Most of them folks were going to vote for Trump. They weren't. So the people that are saying it's wrong have an agenda at play. They don't want the Democrats to actually have a vote. They want the benefit of the vote from happening. Fact is, if there was a vote instead of just picking Kamala Harris, now you got a bunch of Democrats fighting against each other. And because Biden didn't step down to damn near August, there's a far shorter time for that Democrat, whoever wins, to campaign. All of that benefits the Republican Party. That's why they tried hard as they could to convince Democrats you should be bitching about the fact you didn't get a vote, because it would have created chaos in the Democratic Party. That doesn't benefit the Democrats. It benefits the people who were trying to do it. It didn't work. At the end of the day, it did not work. The Democrats rallied around Kamala. They ignored the whole claim that it was fascist or undemocratic to promote her there, and here we are with a more competitive race. But if they had took the Republicans' advice and held it up for a vote, it's a good chance that would have went on for, I don't know, a few weeks, a month or two, meaning that whoever won would have had a very, very short time to do interviews, become known, and they would have made less competition for Trump. It would have been beneficial to Trump and his supporters. That's why they're the ones that are saying it. Anyway, looking in the comments, they're pissed because we didn't fall for it. KDJ, I do believe there's some validity to that. How do you vote for someone if no one is running? How do you vote for someone if no? I don't understand that, T-Mac. I don't understand that question. I'm good with her. Says Lolo to be loved. And I do believe that most voters on the Democratic side are good with Kamala Harris. I think most of them would say the same thing. I'm good with her. It is what it is. I mean, like I said, it would have took much longer to do what the Republicans are suggesting. Lamont Malone, one of my other subscribers, good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Not voting for Harry Balls. What does that mean, yo? Harry Balls. Lamont, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I didn't even know I hit on there, man.
Oh, okay.
I watch you every day, though.
Appreciate
I like
it.
hearing everything you got to talk about.
Thank you.
My son always try to get me to come on there, but I don't really have that much to say other than MAGA is truly crazy because they all spit the same rhetoric.
Well,
if you can give me something different, then I'll gladly listen to what you got to say. But everybody reverts back to the exact same thing.
What if it had been Kamala Harris versus Nikki Haley?
I don't know. You know what? I like Nikki Haley. I think she would have been okay. You know what I'm saying? I don't got nothing truly against her, but I didn't do enough research on her to really make an informed decision. But I just think anybody's better than somebody that old. Because I'm a young guy. I just turned 40.
Okay.
And my thought process is my parents don't like none of the shit I like at rap music or nothing like that because it's a different generation.
Right.
But growing up as a kid, y'all always said children are the future. So why would I have an 80-year-old person trying to run the country anyway when he's not going to think like I think?
So you didn't favor Biden running for re-election either then?
No.
All right.
I was glad he stepped down too because it's just two old people that ain't going to do shit for the young generation, in my opinion, is worthless.
But now you as an African-American man who was of voting age during Trump and an actual adult, he stated he's done more for African Americans than any president since Abraham Lincoln. What say you?
Oh, he's lying.
Well,
everything he say is a lie.
And
I voted for him the very first time just because I wanted to see somebody different because he wasn't a politician.
So you voted for Trump over Hillary Clinton in 2016?
Yeah, because I wanted to see what a non-politician would do.
Well, not to sound like the singer Cher, but if you could turn back time?
You know what? I probably still would have did it. Because
really?
In my eyes, he, like you said before, he opened up so many eyes to politics.
Yeah.
And got so many more people to want to get into it. I think that's great. Because I'm living in the North now, but I'm from the South, and my mom and family is from the South. And they're real big on voting because you know how it was back in the day when we couldn't vote.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of friends that never voted. And like I said, I just turned 40, so yeah, we've been voting for years now. And it's like, why don't you vote? You know what I'm saying? It's your God-given right as an American to vote. You need to put your vote in. And so him becoming president kind of opened up everybody's eyes to the whole voting scene and, you know, the politics scene, I would say.
Yeah. And I agree with you 100%. If there is one thing Trump has done for all of America is what you just pointed out that I often say is that he has brought more folks into the political forum. Thanks to Trump, more folks vote now than ever before because some love him, some really hate him, but he is bringing more people to the polls. I mean, there's a lot of folks probably on the Democratic side more than anything, but they would have sat it out. Minorities, you know, young folks, they would have sat it out like they normally do. He's making people vote. So he does get credit for that, even if it ain't all in his favor.
Right, correct. And I do like how you feel about the economy part. Yeah, he did take it over from Obama.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he did keep it going up until the pandemic. But in my opinion, you didn't really increase it that much to try to make it seem like you did anything. And for the love of God, the president don't control gas. He don't control the gas. So I'm tired of hearing that. That's stupid. And most of the people on the right, they so contradictory. On one hand, you say you don't want big government and all that. But on the second hand, you want them to control everybody's prices.
Well, I will say this because you heard that when gas prices was way up, a lot of folks on the left were saying the president don't control gas prices. But as soon as the gas prices started coming down, both Biden and Kamala Harris was taking credit for it. So they all say you don't control gas prices until it works in their favor.
Correct. Yeah. But that's a politician being a politician right there.
True.
Of course I'm going to take that credit without question.
Yeah.
But I don't steal credit for nobody or nothing, man. I've been a chef for I don't need that credit. As long as I get my paycheck, we good. But in the end result, man, I think he just brings too much negativity. It's like you gotta have a higher standard if you're gonna be the commander in chief. I don't really care what order on either side, man, because you got bad people on both sides.
That's what.
Shitty Republicans and shitty Democrats.
And
but
that's.
Somebody gotta have some kind of, you know what I'm saying? I can't even say the right word, but you gotta have some kind of tactfulness to yourself. Yeah. You can't just be a dick all the time and expect me to want to vote for you.
It's a good point.
I'm not gonna work for nobody like that, so I'm not gonna want to pay you to be in office, whether you take a paycheck or not.
But how do you respond to people who say, yeah, I don't like his, you know, maybe I don't like him, how, you know, his character or him personally, but at the end of the day, if he gives us a good economy, I can overlook that stuff.
Not really that good, because the economy gonna be the economy. It's gonna go up and down. It's gonna always change. You dictate your money anyway. If you're not making enough money, you go find another job.
That easy, huh?
Two jobs. We've been running from the back end anyway as black people in America. So I always had two jobs, because ain't nobody paying. He not boosting up the minimum wage like they said. You go work at McDonald's for a day, but you don't want to get them $15. But you want to go in there and fake like you selling fucking French fries and shit, but you can't give them $15. And $15 ain't nothing. It ain't no damn real money.
Yeah.
Because I know I seen a story a long time ago about a guy over in Seattle, and they talked about him like a dog. He was a business owner that paid every last employee $75,000 a year so they could have a good living wage, and gave them the best insurance he could possibly afford. And every last employee he had retired at that job.
Wow.
From the tenure they had. You know, they didn't quit, they didn't go find another job or nothing. But that don't mean he raised his prices just because he wanted to pay them a living wage. He just wasn't a greedy piece of shit. He got what he needed to survive, and a little extra off the top, of course, but he made sure the people that did all the hard work got what they need. Why can't anybody else think like that?
Because most folks in business is about greed, make as much. I mean, that's the whole, you know, made in China logo. A lot of businesses could do just fine if they made their products in America. Every business, I get there are some struggling businesses out there, but every business don't need to make their products in China. They're doing it for greed. I mean, when you look at the price of, let's say, Nike shoes, for instance, I mean, Nikes have been overpriced most of my life. Even when I was a kid, to buy a pair of Nikes, you were paying way more than you knew the shoe cost in terms of quality. And they were still making them in China. So it's just greed. Sometimes it ain't got nothing else to do, but the fact is I can make more money if I pay my employees even less. And that's what like with the business you're describing, there's not enough business people that are like that, where they truly believe in looking out for their employees. Most of them are there to look out for themselves. I got to move it on. I'll give you the last word, though, Lamont.
Hey, man, just keep doing what you're doing. You got a great platform. Because even though I don't really like MAGA, I want everybody to express themselves. That's the part of being an American. I got a couple of friends I grew up with that's Trump supporters. And I don't give a flying fuck if you're a Trump supporter. You still my guy. I'm going to talk shit to you all day, because that's just me personally. But in the end result, you do what you like. It's a free country. Feel free to vote for them, and we'll see who's going to win. And to be honest, no matter who wins, it ain't going to change shit. It's going to be the same America. Let's get the next 4 years in, but somebody else in 2028 that comes spew a bunch of hopes and dreams of what they're going to do to make life better, and then we'll get half of it done.
So it's going to be the same America. So you don't believe either one of these candidates is going to destroy America or, you know, ruin the country like that?
No, I don't think neither one. I mean, there's going to be a couple differences in between either one, but in the end result, it ain't going to change that much.
I like it. Thank you, Lamont. Appreciate you coming through.
You have a good day.
You too. Looking at the comments, everyone should refuse to vote for party, eliminate division in our own government. Party divides our government, always has. Well, some people vote independent, but I would tell you in this election, you're going to have people voting based on party. Certainly with the women, with the whole rolling back of Roe v. Wade, you're going to have a bunch of chicks that's showing up and just everything with the letter D behind it. It's going to be one of them fuck the Republican Party deals. And the same thing on the right. There's going to be some of them showing up that are just voting Republican. So women are dying because of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, says Atomic Soap. Wow. I heard somebody else got another video the other day of some woman they claimed that lost her life because of rolling back of Roe v. Wade. Wow. I disagree totally. Chaos under Trump. We'll see. That's why Trump wants to break up the uniparty. I don't know how he's going to be able to do that. He just is going to become the MAGA party. Appreciate the compliment. Patrick Van Rensveld says, great show. For you folks that do enjoy this type of dialogue, completely open. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. You don't have to agree with anybody in the comment section, up to and including yours truly. It's all about free speech. I'd ask that you follow the program on TikTok, subscription on YouTube, if you will. We're here every day until Election Day and generally Monday through Friday. I used to be on 1 p.m. Central, 1 to 4. I'm trying to get that time slot back, but family obligations, you know how it is. I got to do my day job first. This job is not paying me, so I got to do the job that pays me. So we'll try to figure it out, but I do appreciate you folks rolling with your boy. Nevertheless, it is a Monday. It is not to say, but I was about to say it's a Monday. It is a Sunday. My Bears are playing at 3, so I do want to get in the house in time to watch the game. So I appreciate you tuning in.